Hello everyone, I'm the person who made the page. Okay, so we have a Michael Jordan fan who wants to go on. He's from YouTube. He goes by the YouTube username of Later Gator. Now on my first YouTube page, known as the Universe Galaxy NBA, he wrote some things in a comment section where he was questioning some things, not liking some things, disagreeing with some things, and being a little bit negative. And he would like to explain some things and ask some questions. So let me put him on the program. Hey, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, and you are very welcome. Okay, so I know you have some points you want to make and some questions you want to ask, so please feel free to make your points and please feel free to ask your questions.
Sure. So, like you said, I first found the Universe Galaxy NBA page. That's where I first made a comment. And I had some questions about the claim to Michael Jordan fans being the worst fans of all time, and wanted some further clarification. So that's why I'm here.
Sure, and I appreciate the questions. Ask anything you like, and I also want to point out you had more than just questions. You kind of pointed the finger at me and kind of disagreed with me, and you were a little bit rude, and you were kind of just overall being a little negative.
Sure, we can get into that right now.
All right, great. You start wherever you like. You can, like I said, feel free to ask pretty much any question you like. Feel free to make any point you like.
Okay. So firstly, I've made it a rule for myself to not be negative to anyone until they're negative to me, because it's just it feeds itself, and I usually dip out of the conversation shortly after. I attempted to be as light as I could on my return of that, and we can go over the specific post right now. So,
well, just real quick before you give the example, I just want to point out I appreciate what you said, but when you say you attempted to be as light as you could would be, hey, I don't agree, or hey, I'd like to know more, hey, I'd like to go on your program, and something like that. Not some of the other things you wrote.
Well, for example, I didn't call you any names, and I only responded with all right, we'll get into it right now.
Sure. No, you didn't call me any names. That's true. I'm not accusing you of calling me names, especially right off the bat. So you may not have done certain things, but that doesn't erase the other things you did.
Sure, and let's get into that.
Sure.
So the post you posted was, so do you agree with Pat Riley that LeBron James is in a class of his own?
Oh, yes. For everyone listening, he's referring to a poll question on my first page.
Right. And in the comments section, you had pinned a comment of yourself saying the comment section will give you some examples of why Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Oh, yes. Which, by the way, do you agree with it that they're the worst sports fans of all time, or?
Well, I don't have a claim. I don't have a claim to the worst sports fans of all time. So I replied. My first comment was, "Could you define worst in this context?" And give me a second. So I have the screenshots. And your first reply to me was, well, I will put it to you like this. If this was about Pat Riley saying this about Oscar Robertson, no Jerry West fan would type the kind of things that are down below. And that wasn't exactly satisfactory to me. So I continued.
Why is that? Why is that?
That's my next comment.
Oh, you're not going to. I thought you were going to read what was going to come next. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Or that's what the comment was. Okay, so I said, okay, LeBron haters are not representative of every Michael Jordan fan.
Hang on. Let's get into each thing. You can read what you want. We'll get into it, but okay. Why was it not satisfactory to you?
Because you're using an analogy to define worst in the context, and it's not entirely clear. It could be interpreted different ways, and I wanted more clarification.
My example of Pat Riley, if it was the other way around, it's very clear. The point which I guess you missed, which is okay, I'm not knocking you, but you obviously missed it. If it was the other way around, and I was basically showing some positive take that you Michael Jordan fans have for Michael Jordan, you wouldn't have had any reason to question it. So why would it be okay to question it if you guys think it's going against Michael Jordan, but it's not okay, but it's fine if it's, if you guys think it's going for Michael Jordan?
No, that's not what it was. I don't know what comments you're specifically referring to, and those comments representative of every fan.
What can you read that? I don't have it in front of me. Can you read back what my first response was, just to make sure we're on the same page?
Sure. Your first response was, I will put it to you like this. If this is about Pat Riley saying this about Oscar Robertson, no Jerry West fan would type the kind of things that are down below. And I also don't think that those two are in conversations for a title or a rank. So I didn't find that comparison extremely applicable.
Okay, so we have two things there. The first part was why I wrote what I wrote. The second part is why the comparison is not the same. So to the first part, the point, which is very clear, it's very clear, is basically essentially, and I'm summarizing for practicality, no other group of sports fans reacts the way you guys react in general. I'm not saying you can never find anyone. It's a general thing. And I gave an example of Jerry West and Oscar Robertson because if you focus on today's players, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Giannis, and all that, you can find probably more of the same type of thing happening in other places. But if you go back in time to the days of Bill Russell, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, and so on, it's very rare you'll find anyone who reacts in this kind of way. And the reason, to your second point about why it's comparable, is because at the end of the day, whenever you say, why are these fans the worst? And I had my reason and you had your disagreement, you have to be able to think analytically and go, why is this mostly happening in a disproportionate way with Michael Jordan fans? Why doesn't it happen with Oscar Robertson fans, Jerry West fans, Elgin Baylor fans, and so on?
Yeah, and my next comment is addressing that. But as to your first point, I would say that fans from 50 years ago are in general not as negative or quick to name call as they are today.
Right. That's one of the reasons, as I said, why I brought that up. If I would have said to you something about LeBron James fans, you could have right away said, well, hey, there's bad LeBron James fans. And I probably would have disagreed with you still as a general thing, but I didn't want to get sucked into that. So I wanted to go to some place where it was very clear, and you agreed 50 years ago, or whatever number you gave, they weren't probably as negative, and they probably weren't as fast to be as questionable. So I don't get why you didn't seem to understand what my point was. Like you said something a little while ago about how you didn't understand why that was brought up.
Well, because you're comparing fans of today and fans of 50 years ago, and I'm saying in totality they are different fans. So comparing them to different players' fan bases doesn't really make sense if the average is still going to be less negative.
Well, no, here's why you're wrong. I'm not comparing today's fans to past fans. My initial point is that Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. I am saying all fans. So now when I gave an example, yes, I am comparing those ones to these ones, and I explained why. But to the bigger picture, it's not that I'm comparing those ones to today's fans or those ones to these ones. No, I am going by the original topic, which is Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Now, we're going to find out what you wrote next, and we're going to find out if you actually thought it was fair at the time.
Well, it's fair now that you've explained that to me, but I wanted further clarification at the time.
And
I addressed the second half of the point.
Sure. I don't have a problem if you want clarification. I really don't. Okay, I have no problem with clarification. My point is not to point the finger at people who disagree. There's nothing wrong with human beings disagreeing. People disagree, obviously, for a number of reasons. My problem is two problems with you. One, what angle are you coming from? Your angle that you're coming from is you are a Michael Jordan fan. You put him at a certain ranking, and you think a certain way. Okay, fine. That's not a bad thing necessarily, but it shows why are the only people who are questioning me the people who are those people? And the second problem I have with you is when you make it seem like, well, I clarified now, so now you get it. I don't understand why it was so hard to understand what I was doing. To be fair to you, I didn't give a lot of details, and I can explain why if you want. But at the end of the day, I gave a very simple response. I said, let's put it this way, and I told you what my thing was. I don't understand why that's so hard to understand. Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Elgin Baylor, and other people who have fans, they don't react the same way. Why not go, why are Michael Jordan fans different?
Okay, so I understand your point now, but I still disagree with what you're saying because, like I said, Michael Jordan's fans didn't exist back 50 years ago because Michael Jordan didn't exist. So what I'm trying to say is that comparison of times didn't make sense to me. I understand that you're saying of all time,
right,
including fans that existed 100 years ago,
right,
not just fans that exist today,
right,
of all athletes of all time.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but I was waiting for the but. So if we agree they didn't exist back then, although to be fair, they may not have existed 50 years ago, but they did exist 30 years ago and 20 years ago and 10 years ago and a few years ago. So I'm still including all those years too. You're just jumping to 50 years ago, but that's fine. If you want to go to 50,
okay, well, because that's a comparison that you had used.
No, but my comparison was never meant to show how people were back then and how they are today. It's never, I don't know where you got that from. It's clearly showing you that
No, I understand. That's what I interpreted it as being insufficient analogy. And I now understand that you're saying sports fans of all time, not sports fans of today, of athletes of all time.
No, I get it, but I'm still trying to figure out why you didn't get it. Because if my main point to you is Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time, I'm not saying today, I'm not saying yesterday, I'm not saying a few years ago, I'm not saying 50 years ago, I'm saying all time, and you disagree, why would you not understand when I go, hey, well, look, at the end of the day, you don't see other people having fans who act like them? Or if you will,
okay,
well, how about this? Why not say, why would it be hard to understand where I'm going? Look, other people who have fans, they don't act like them. And if they did, you wouldn't question them.
Yeah, I get that. This is my very first interaction with you. I had no prior knowledge of what the definition of Michael Jordan's sports fans are the worst fans of all time. So now that I do, fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. Now we're going to find out, though, if you wrote something like that in your next post. What's your next post?
Okay, so I replied to your analogy with, okay, so LeBron haters are not representative of every Michael Jordan fan, because I'm assuming that's what you were. I'm sorry, let me just. Yes, because that's the analogy you're making. LeBron and Jordan to Oscar Robertson and
Wait,
Jerry West.
What did I say about LeBron James?
Well, that's the analogy you're making, correct?
Because I don't have it in front of me. Can you read back what I wrote?
Sure. So you wrote, well, I will put it to you like this. If this is about Pat Riley saying this about Oscar Robertson, no Jerry West fan would type the kind of things that are down below. And so your post was about LeBron James, and you're referring, and I was asking about Michael Jordan fans, and so therefore I made the connection.
Oh, you're talking about my first post, my original polling question.
Yeah, I was just trying to clarify the topic.
Okay. Now, I'll tell you the mistake you make here. Yeah, technically you're right. You're right. The actual poll question had the word name LeBron James in it. That's true. So if you want to go on that technicality, you're right. I don't really believe that's why you brought up LeBron James, and you can defend yourself. I want to know your side of it, but I don't really believe that the reason you brought up in your subsequent follow-up LeBron James was because I put LeBron James in the post. I think you did it for the same reason that most Michael Jordan fans do it, because every time someone disagrees with you guys about Michael Jordan, you guys always bring up LeBron James in a negative way. Now, you're probably going to say I'm wrong. You're going to say, I brought up LeBron James because you had LeBron James in the question. And if you want me to believe that, well, I'll listen to you. But at the end of the day, even if you're right, let's say I just make it easy for you and you don't even have to explain. Let's say you're right and you brought up LeBron James because I had LeBron James in the question. I still don't get why, after I tell you about the Jerry West thing, you know, his fans, Oscar Robertson fans, Elgin Baylor fans, all those guys, why you would feel the need to go back to LeBron James fans or go to LeBron James fans.
Because that was the original topic. No, you were making an analogy, and so I was applying that analogy to the topic.
The original topic was not about LeBron James fans.
Yes, correct. The original topic was about Michael Jordan's fans, and you replied with an analogy of the post and responses to it.
What's the connection between my analogy and the post equaling LeBron James fans?
Because Pat Riley is the one that said LeBron James is in a class of his own.
Right.
So you're saying if Pat Riley said a different player was in a class of his own, other player, Michael Jordan fans, or the analogy you made, Jerry West fans, wouldn't make these same comments.
But when you wrote to me, you wrote on a pinned comment, as you brought up in this phone call, about me claiming Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. In other words, what I'm saying to you is, although you are writing about my question, I don't doubt you, your main point is to question me labeling Michael Jordan fans as the worst sports fans of all time. And when you bring up LeBron James fans, and I question you for that, you jump back to the original question. Because I had the name LeBron James in the question? That doesn't make any sense.
Because it's a one-to-one analogy, right? That's why you gave it to me. Otherwise, why did you give me the analogy?
Because when you're saying, so Pat Riley is saying LeBron James is a class of his own. And your question, and then I say down below, Michael Jordan fans or whatever, and you're disagreeing with that part. So when you disagree with that part, it doesn't make sense that you go back to the original.
I didn't disagree at first. I simply asked for a definition.
Okay, fine.
And you gave me an analogy that applied to the post.
You know what I mean. Disagree, ask question, whatever. Whatever question you had, when you go to that part and then I address it, it doesn't make sense that you would go back to the original question as if that was your main point, and B, it doesn't make sense to go, well, the reason I'm going back to your main question is because the name LeBron James is there? There's no connection to his name to LeBron James fans.
But your analogy was about LeBron James, was it not?
What does that have to do with his fans?
Because that is the analogy you gave me when I asked for clarification about his fans.
Let's have it, if you don't mind, man. I know it must get repetitive. Do you mind reading back the analogy?
Sure.
All right.
I will put it to you like this. If this is about Pat Riley saying this about Oscar Robertson, no Jerry West fan would type the kind of things that are down below. And so that's a one-to-one analogy of Oscar Robertson, Pat Riley saying things about Oscar Robertson or LeBron, and a one-to-one analogy of Jerry West fans typing in the comments when I was asking about
But Pat Riley is
Jordan
not talking
fans.
about LeBron James fans.
Right, but you didn't say anything about Pat Riley talking about LeBron James fans in your analogy either.
Right, because none of this has to do with LeBron James fans. You're right, I didn't bring it up because the same reason I didn't bring up Stephen Curry fans. There was no connection.
So what was your analogy to?
To show you that, again, that if he would have said something else, or sorry, if another sports star would have said the same type of thing, or to show why Michael Jordan is positive, you Michael Jordan fans wouldn't have questioned it the way you questioned me for writing Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Okay, well, I had never, ever seen anybody say that before. I'd never really seen anyone talk about worst sports fans other than Yankees.
That's beside the point. That's beside the point if you have or not. Right now, I'm not saying you're supposed to know. That's okay if you don't know. But I'm saying right now, the main topic, the question is part of it. The poll question about Pat Riley, that's part of it. But the main thing that made you write to me, let me start over. The main thing that you're writing about, because I don't know exactly why you're writing to me, is because you're questioning me in a way where you disagree or you just want some information about why I'm labeling Michael Jordan fans as the worst sports fans of all time.
Right. And so I was using the analogy you gave to respond to it. And if you don't want to believe me, that's fine. But I can only repeat the same thing over and over.
I do think that anyone who, because he read back what I wrote, folks, so you can always play it back again, so he doesn't have to repeat himself. Obviously, it's very clear what points I was making. If he didn't get it, that's okay. But it's so clear that there's no reference to LeBron James fans at all. I really do think, man.
Then why did you use an analogy that had the original post format?
What does the original post have to do with LeBron James fans?
Because you gave me an analogy that was in the original format of the post we were commenting on. And therefore, it was topic.
What was the original post about? It was about Pat Riley and LeBron James.
Pat Riley.
Not his fans.
Right. And in your analogy, you don't say anything about in the first part about fans. You say Pat Riley. If Pat Riley said this about Oscar Robertson, nothing about the fans, exactly like your original post, no Jerry West fan would type the kinds of things in the comments or down below. That makes the analogy very easy to me to pick up.
Well, no, I'm glad you're saying it back. I agree with everything that you just said, except for the part about what's easy for you to pick up. There's no reason for you to make a connection to LeBron James fans. Nothing at all. It's clear.
But that's in the post that we were talking on.
The post was about Michael Jordan fans. There's no LeBron James fans there.
All right, you can disagree with me if you want, but I'm telling you exactly what went through my brain at the time.
I know, and I believe you, and I'm telling you that you don't have to accept this. You can also disagree with me on it. I debated thousands of Michael Jordan fans. I know how you guys think. Whenever someone doesn't rank Michael Jordan as the greatest, or top 3 or top 6 or whatever, or if they question him or if they question his era.
Yeah, but I don't know any of that info at this point.
That's fine. We'll get to that. I'm just telling you my side of it now. Remember, you said I don't have to accept your side. You don't have to accept my side, obviously. Whenever
sure, I'm just telling you I don't know any of that.
I heard this
so
first
what
time,
you're saying that is affecting my judgment or my comments, it's not.
We'll get to that. Let me just first establish it for the audience and for you. Then we'll get to if I'm right or wrong. Whenever someone says questions Michael Jordan's era, or questions an award he won, or questions his, I don't know, the way he played or whatever, a lot of times, not always, I'm not saying it's 100%, a lot of times you Michael Jordan fans will randomly bring up LeBron James, you'll do it in a negative way, or you'll randomly bring up his fans, and you'll do it in a negative way. Now, you're going to say it has nothing to do with it, so all I can do at this point is say, why are you bringing up LeBron James? And you can go in a circle, we can go in a circle, or we can just let it go. Your call.
All right, well, I also didn't bring him up negatively. I was merely responding to what I thought was the analogy you were making, which I guess I was incorrect at the time.
No, I understand. No, I don't think I was accusing you, by the way, of bringing him up negatively. I was just trying to show you a pattern of what Michael Jordan fans do to cover all the bases. I want you to see a pattern.
Okay, do you think maybe it's possible that you're applying that pattern incorrectly here?
If it was possible, you haven't shown me any reason. Now, do you think it's possible that, well, I guess you did admit that you got it wrong, right?
What wrong?
Whatever you said you got it wrong. Didn't you say earlier that you misread it wrong, you got it wrong?
Yeah, so I misunderstood what you meant by sports fans of all time, meaning all sports fans, not sports fans today,
well, how did you take
all
it?
Athletes.
How did you take it?
Like I just said, all athletes, but sports fans of today.
I think I know what you mean, but can you clarify? I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, so I thought when you say Michael Jordan's fans are the worst sports fans of all time,
right.
I thought you were referring to all athletes of all time and the sports fans of today.
Yeah, no, I am. You're right. Any sports fans of any athlete, of any sport, of any game, of anything that has to do with sports, they are the worst sports fans of all time.
Right, but you're also saying all sports fans. So going back to the very first sport, whatever that was.
If the caveman was playing some sport, they're worse than those cavemen. If those cavemen are bad. Yeah.
Which at the time is not how I interpreted it, and I do understand that's how you. That's kind of why I'm here to figure that out.
Sure. I literally wrote it. The Michael Jordan fans are the worst.
No, I understand. I'm just telling you how I interpreted it when I read it.
So let's go to your next post if you want, or we can go to another topic, whichever one you want. I want to be fair to you.
Well, there's not too much left in this post, so I might as well continue.
Okay. Oh, by the way, just want to remind you, because remember you said you don't know certain things to be true. Remember the other topics? If you want to get into those things, those are on the table if you want.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So I said LeBron haters are not representative of every Michael Jordan fan, but everyone not a LeBron fan is almost certainly a Michael Jordan fan. And when typing this, I was referring more to within the NBA.
Oh, let me just make sure I understand, because I don't have it in front of me. Let me just make sure I'm getting all this. So the first part was not all LeBron James haters are Michael Jordan fans, right?
I said they're not representative of every Michael Jordan fan.
Right. So yeah, basically they're not all Michael Jordan fans, right? Oh, fine, representative. That's fine. It's pretty much the same thing. But that's fine. Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah, and then the second part was run back the second part again.
Everyone not a LeBron fan is almost certainly a Michael Jordan fan.
Everyone who's not a LeBron James fan is almost certainly a Michael Jordan fan. Okay, so far I got no problem with those things. All right, go ahead.
Okay, because Michael Jordan has the most amount of fans.
I agree.
Excuse me.
You're fine.
LeBron inversely probably has the most amount of haters, and that's just an educated guess.
Okay. I got no problem with anything you wrote so far.
Okay. So if by worst you mean he has the most amount of assholes for fans, then yes, because he has the most fans.
Okay, so let's stop right there. Sure. Okay, stop right there. So by worst, if you mean he has the most blank of fans, then they're the
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you not want me to curse?
No, you can do whatever you like. Don't worry, I'm not strict, man. Thanks for asking, though. You can do whatever you like.
Okay. I'll say ale.
No, no, dude. You can actually. It's better if you read it exactly the way it was, so people can
All
have a
right,
better
all right, all
idea.
right.
Okay. So before you continue, let's dissect that line. I know you're just asking me, so I'm not going to hold it against you. You're just saying if it's this, then okay, fine. Just to clarify, it's not just that. They are the worst sports fans of all time for a number of reasons, which we can get into later, I guess, once we finish this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then I continued and I said there are far fewer fans and haters of both men you mentioned than everyone else. So there will be less instances of their fans making the comments you define as the worst.
So that part I also disagree on, that there's fewer haters than fans, and we can get into that later on if you want.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you... So I just said there are far fewer fans and haters of both men. Okay, not that there are far fewer fans than haters.
Okay, so there's far fewer fans and haters of both men.
Of both men you mentioned, yes.
Compared to what? Fans and haters compared to what?
Than any other individual player.
Okay, so out of all the players out there, they have few fans and... they have less fans and less haters compared to everyone else?
No, sorry. They have the most. I'm saying there's far fewer fans and haters of... Yeah, far fewer fans and haters of both men you mentioned than... Did I word that incorrectly?
Okay, so maybe it just came out a little bit wrong. Okay, so we can...
I might have... What I'm trying to say is they have the most amount of fans and haters than anyone else.
Just because we already have so much to go over, let's not add a new thing, because if that's what you wrote, let's just go by that. So if it came out wrong, then there's no reason to go over that, right? We just skip over that. So did it come out wrong, just to make sure?
Sorry?
Did it come out wrong, just to make sure?
I believe it did. Okay. It doesn't entirely make the most sense the way I worded it.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's just skip past that. Since you don't mind, we'll skip past it. So what's the next one in there?
So then you replied to me.
No. Didn't you have more in that same post?
So I just finished with, so there will be less instances of their fans making comments that you define as the worst.
Okay, so there'll be less instances of their fans.
Yeah, that kind of depends on the prior point that I jumbled. So you said to skip it, so.
Sure. Just to make sure, here's how I'm taking that. And if you want to skip it, or if I'm taking it the wrong way, you can tell me
Go ahead.
You can skip it, or you can tell me I'm taking it the wrong way. Yeah, okay. So are you saying that those two guys, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, have less instances compared to other sports fans of being questionable and ridiculous?
No, I'm saying that there's more.
Oh, there's more. Okay, got you. Okay, so you're saying there's more Michael Jordan fans and LeBron James fans being questionable and ridiculous compared to other sports fans in general.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. So I took that the right way. So that one I didn't take it in the wrong way, or you didn't write it in any wrong way. You didn't write it in any way that was not, like, you didn't write it in a way that you didn't mean to. So that's not true, man. Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. If you want, I can get into why.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's more instances of Michael Jordan fans and LeBron fans being the worst because there's more of their fans. So it's a numbers.
I got you. I'm still disagreeing, because Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. No one else is on their level. No one else is past them.
Okay, but if they both have, Michael Jordan and LeBron have the most amount of fans, we're saying, one or two, whatever, then they would have the most amount of fans being negative. I'm not saying one is higher than the other. I'm just saying beyond those two, they have the most.
No, I got you. You're not saying one is higher than the other. You are basically saying they're on a similar level because they have the most fans, number 1 and 2, whichever one you think is number 1 and 2. What I'm saying to you is I disagree for quite a few reasons, actually. Number 1, I don't think they're on the same level. Michael Jordan fans are worse than them, and Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. Number 2, I have no evidence. I assume you would say LeBron James has the second most fans, or the first most, whichever one. Even if you say he has the first most fans, there's no evidence that LeBron James has the first most fans or the second most fans. Number 3, even if there was, let's say you point out to me why LeBron James has the first most fans or the second most fans, that doesn't automatically mean that they're going to act questionable and ridiculous. And the last and final point, LeBron James fans in general are just like other NBA fans in general.
How's that?
Because whenever an NBA fan says, "This is my guy," and I like the time he played in, and I like his tape and all that. Those are regular things. The only people who question LeBron James fans are Michael Jordan fans, and that's another reason of why you Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Okay, so you're saying LeBron fans aren't like other NBA fans?
They are, but not. You're making it seem like, well, look, he's got a lot of fans, and because when you have lots of fans, you're going to have a lot of negative fans, and they're just like Michael Jordan fans, and so on. None of that's true. By the way, most LeBron James fans, this might surprise you, but I can back this up. Most LeBron James fans, not all of them, most LeBron James fans are actually Michael Jordan fans.
Yeah, sure, I believe that.
So there's no reason to separate them as if they're two different groups.
I was combining them.
No, I thought you were saying they both have fans that are the most and they're both on the same level. You are separating them.
I'm putting them into the same group outside of every other NBA fan group of fans and saying each of them will have more worst fans because they have more fans to pick from.
Right, you're putting them in the same group in terms of them being bad or questionable or ridiculous or strange.
Right, I'm not splitting them apart.
But you're not separating them as two distinct groups. They are not the same group of fans. I'm sorry, they are not two distinct groups. They are mostly Michael Jordan fans.
Okay, so you're saying most LeBron fans are also Michael Jordan fans?
That's right.
Okay, so if Michael Jordan fans are the worst, and they cross over mostly with LeBron fans, then how does that not also apply to LeBron fans?
Because I get your question, but you're still making the mistake of separating them. There's no crossover. There's this group on this side.
But you just said there was a crossover.
No, I'm not. This is what I'm trying to say. You're saying there's a group of fans on this side and a group of fans on that side, and they mix and they cross over. No, they are the same people. They are Michael Jordan fans.
Okay, so
I know.
What's your point?
I know. But they're not separated. The Michael Jordan fans are the worst. And if you go, well, what about LeBron James fans? What about those guys? Those are actually Michael Jordan fans. They're not LeBron James fans.
So you're saying most LeBron fans aren't Michael Jordan fans?
They are. So when I say
you just said that they weren't.
No, I'm saying they're not. I'm saying they're Michael Jordan fans. They're not LeBron James fans. When I say they're not LeBron James fans, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying they're not a fan of him, like a regular fan. Like, oh, I'm a Jerry West fan. I'm an Oscar Robertson fan. I'm an LG Baylor fan, all that. I'm talking about the zombie-like, cult-like, influenced by the media. Like they're just really in love with Michael Jordan, those type of people. They can tell you they're a LeBron James fan, but at the end of the day, they're actually a Michael Jordan fan, which I can prove to you if you like.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember, I'm not saying there's no such thing as a LeBron James fan. There are people who are regular fans. Like, I'm a Michael Jordan fan. I'm a Jerry West fan. I'm a Oscar Robertson fan. All that. Those are regular fans. When it comes to the distinct group of people that I label as the worst sports fans of all time, which are Michael Jordan fans, I'm including the people who claim that they're not Michael Jordan fans and that they're LeBron James fans.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are you saying about them?
That they're not separate. They're most of these people who say, hey, I'm not a Michael Jordan fan. I'm a LeBron James fan. I don't even like Michael Jordan. I like LeBron James. They're actually Michael Jordan fans. The ones that I have labeled as the worst sports fans of all time.
All right, so I'm just confused about how that applies to what I was saying.
In the context of what you wrote and what we were talking about after we were going over what you wrote, you separated them as if you're saying, look, these two separate groups have the most fans, and they're both basically questionable and ridiculous and strange and hilarious. If you want, how about this? There's really nothing wrong with LeBron James fans. How about that? Is that more easier?
So you're saying there's not a single LeBron fan who's negative?
No, I'm not talking about 100%. I said earlier it's not 100%.
Okay,
it's a general.
You're saying in general,
right.
LeBron fans are not negative.
They're regular NBA fans. They're just like anyone else. They like their guy. They like their time. They like the tape and all that. When you find the ones who are...
Okay, all right. So what about the fanatics, if you will,
Right.
the top 10% of each fan group
Well,
base.
whatever the percentage is, I don't know what the percentage is, but I was just going to get to that. When it comes to the fans that you guys question as LeBron sexuals, as La Flop fans, La China fans, La 3-6 fans, those guys that you guys don't like, that only Michael Jordan fans question, those guys are actually Michael Jordan fans.
Okay, I see your point.
Now
I see
you
what you're
could say,
saying.
by the way, you could get me on something. You know what you can get me on? You could say, well, if they're the same people, why would they be questioned by their own kind? You could say that, right?
Well, yeah, but that's nonsensical.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. Okay.
Um, okay, but I still don't understand how I was separating. Okay, so to be fair, you're saying LeBron fans and Michael Jordan fans are a very mixed group.
They're the same group.
They're the same group.
Right.
But the worst fans of the same group are only the Michael Jordan ones?
The reason that they are the way they are, the people that they actually are, the people that they became and all that, they're Michael Jordan fans. Try to think of it like this, man. Imagine some other topic. Forget about the NBA.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
so you're
okay.
saying the worst Michael Jordan fans are also the worst LeBron fans.
I'm saying Michael Jordan fans in general are the worst sports fans of all time, and that includes the people that you Michael Jordan fans label as LeBron James fans. Remember, no one really thinks LeBron James fans are bad except you Michael Jordan fans. Like, there's no Jerry West fan.
Well, I didn't say that.
No, I didn't say. I didn't say you said it right now.
No, I know, but you're saying you.
Well, no, because I consider you a Michael Jordan fan, and I will make an assumption. To be fair to you, I will make an assumption that at some point in your life, or more than one point in your life, you have questioned LeBron James fans. And if nothing else, one reason I know this is true because you yourself have separated them from Michael Jordan fans. You don't seem to know, which is okay, but you don't seem to know that they are the same people. They're Michael Jordan fans.
But I was grouping them together because I was saying the two biggest fan groups, even if they are mixed, are outside of other NBA fan groups, are the biggest, and therefore they will have the most worst fans. That's why I was combining them.
That's combining them in a different way. You're saying, look, they're on this level.
Yeah, that's literally what I said.
And I acknowledge why I disagree with you. But to answer your point right now, you're not really combining them because you're combining them in a certain way. You're saying for this thing here or for these things there, they're similar. But you're not really combining them as actually the same. You are separating them when you go, here's Michael Jordan fans, here's LeBron James fans. They're not separated. They're actually the same people. Should I try to prove you why? I think maybe if I give you some examples, maybe it might make more sense.
Okay, yeah, go for
it. Okay. Here's some examples of what a Michael Jordan fan does. A Michael Jordan fan will go by rings to rank players. A Michael Jordan fan will go by finals MVPs to rank players. A Michael Jordan fan will say things like, all the Hall of Famers pick him, and things like that. There's a million examples I can give you, but for practicality and to give you time to follow up, I'm going to keep it simple. Now let's look at what LeBron James fans do. They'll go by rings. Sometimes they'll go by finals MVPs award. Sometimes they'll go by things like all the Hall of Famers pick him sometimes, and so on. Look at what a Michael Jordan fan will do, and look at what a LeBron James fan will do. A Michael Jordan fan will say, Michael Jordan is the number one NBA player of all time. It's a fact he's a number one NBA player of all time. It's undisputed. Everyone knows it, etc., 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 etc. He had no help. He had no Hall of Famers. He had no All-Stars. He played in the toughest time. Now let's look at what a LeBron James fan will do. LeBron James is a number one NBA player of all time. He has the best statistics. He has the best all-around game. He had no help. He has no All-Stars, no Hall of Famers. He played in the toughest time, and so on. Do you see similarities there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you could say to me, and I brought this up earlier, and I guess you didn't think it was a good point, but I think it's a good point. You could say, if they are the same, why don't they rank them the same? And this is where it gets a little tricky. Most of the time, if someone picks Michael Jordan number 1, they pick LeBron James number 2. Or if they pick LeBron James number 1, they pick Michael Jordan number 2. So while there is that difference sometimes, the difference is not that big. It's still, try not to think of it like as one reason of why they're the same. Try to look at the overall pattern, the big picture. When you connect all the dots, It may not be 100% the same, but it's enough to go, there it is. And some of them will actually say, I don't know who to pick, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. It's 1A, it's 1 or 1A. Or they'll say, they're both on my Mount Rushmore. Or they'll say, I don't care who you pick, but Michael Jordan and LeBron James has to be there, and things like that. They are the same people. They think the same way. They learn from the same places. They're wrong in the same way, and so on.
Okay, so to clarify, you're saying the Michael Jordan fans that are the worst aren't also fans of LeBron. That's what separates the worst?
That they are or they aren't? What was the question?
So Michael Jordan fans aren't most of Michael Jordan fans aren't also LeBron fans, and that's why the worst tends to be from Michael Jordan.
No, they
or is from Michael Jordan.
No, they are LeBron James fans. Remember, if they rank Michael Jordan number 1, they're probably going to rank LeBron James number 2, or they'll have them. They'll say it's 1 and 1A, or they'll say, I don't care which one you pick. You can't go. Either one is fine, or something like that.
Right.
The similarities are so much, and they're wrong in the same ways, and they contradict themselves in the same ways, and all that at some point you go, they're the same type of fan. They're the same people.
Okay,
the same group.
That's fair. So what differentiates Michael Jordan fans from being the worst from LeBron fans if they're part of a very similar category?
See, again, but when you ask that question, you're asking as if there's two separate groups. You're still saying...
Right, but I'm asking you, so you define Michael Jordan fans as the worst that are also fans of LeBron.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought you would say that the Michael Jordan fans that are the worst are the ones that hate LeBron.
No, they're also part of it too, sure. But how many LeBron James fans do you know that hate Michael Jordan?
I don't know many of either side.
You don't know? You're the same guy.
No, personally, I don't know anyone on either side that hates the other.
No, but you're the same. I don't believe that. I don't believe whenever you did research and went on YouTube and went to the comment section, all that you couldn't find Michael Jordan fans who hated on LeBron James. But even if I'm wrong, let's say I'm wrong.
No, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying I personally don't know any because that's why I thought you were asking me.
No, but when I say personally, I don't mean you have to have someone that you personally know. I'm talking about that you ever just know about, ever anywhere. You know they're out there, right? You acknowledged earlier they're out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my point. Michael Jordan fans will hate on LeBron James, to answer your question. But LeBron James fans...
I have also seen LeBron fans hate on Michael Jordan.
No, well, when you say, hey, give me an example of what's hate. Give me an example. Remember, you can always find exceptions to the rule. I'm talking about a general thing. You know what I mean? I'm sure somewhere out there in Utah, there's a psychotic John Stockton fan, right? But that doesn't mean John Stockton fans are bad. It's a pattern.
Right. Okay. That's fair.
So if you say you got LeBron James fans who hate on Michael Jordan, I'm open-minded, man. I'm sure you can find some exceptions.
Well, I'm not saying that LeBron James fans are the worst fans of all time. Like I said, I don't have a claim to that.
I'm not saying you are. When you say to me that LeBron James fans, there are some who hate on Michael Jordan, I'll be open-minded. What examples can you give me of LeBron James fans in the media hating on Michael Jordan, or the ones who are not famous? What examples can you give me where they actually hate on him?
I can't give you any examples because I don't spend time going through comments like that because it's not worth my time.
You don't have to go through comments. I said to you media. Do you watch anything in the media? Do you read newspapers, listen to the radio, watch TV, or anything like that?
If it's on, yeah.
Okay, so then you should have some examples. I can find you tons of people in the media who are Michael Jordan fans who will hate on LeBron James. You can barely find me anyone in the media.
Okay, but is that because
who's a LeBron James fan
fans are the most amount of fans?
Well, listen to what I'm saying though. I'm not talking about who did it more. I can get into that too if you want, but to be fair to you, let's stick to this one. I can find you tons of examples of Michael Jordan fans in the media who hate on LeBron James. Now, you can barely find any examples in the media of LeBron James fans hating on Michael Jordan. So it's not
sure, but he's also not a current player.
Who Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything? They bring him up all the time. And you don't have to be a current player to be...
So I'm saying there's nothing to criticize of him on the court because he's not currently playing.
No, but
whereas LeBron, that's a every week thing.
No, but okay, there's many holes in this argument. First of all, whether you're a current player or not doesn't mean you have to hate on someone. You can criticize...
No, I'm just saying that criticism of them in the media is going to be nearly non-existent because they're not playing.
No, I understand.
Most NBA analysts are criticizing players that are playing.
I understand what you're saying. There's some holes in this argument, so there's a few problems here. Number one, just whether you're in the NBA or not, it doesn't mean you have to hate on someone. So if you're saying, look, the reason it's happening is because he's in the NBA and Michael Jordan's not, so it's going to happen more. What's going to happen? You can question him, you can criticize him, you can second guess him and all that, but you don't have to hate on the guy. Number two, if you're going to, you don't actually have to be in the NBA to get hate on. People are not in the NBA and they get hated on all the time. Number three, if he's not in the NBA anymore and that's why they're not questioning Michael Jordan, why do they bring him up all the time? He's not in the NBA anymore. And number four, the last and final point, even though he's not in the NBA, not only do they bring him up all the time, they elevate Michael Jordan all the time.
Okay, so my question would be, what are some examples of Michael Jordan fans hating on LeBron in the media? Because I don't see that.
Sure. Okay. Well, how could you? You said earlier that you don't.
Yeah, I don't see it on either side.
No, but how could you? You made it seem like earlier you don't have time to do the research. So if you don't have time to do the research, why do you come to these conclusions? Just
from what I've happened to see, I don't see either side hate on the other. But, like you're saying. But or rather, I don't know what you mean by hate. I should.
That's fine. I'll get into. I'll give you examples, but I just hope you acknowledge you're kind of playing both sides of the fence. If you say, look, I don't have time to go through comment sections and I just put on the media whenever it comes on. I don't have time to research and all that. You can't say all those things and then say, well, I haven't had many examples. If you haven't done the research, you shouldn't have the conclusion.
No, I'm just telling you what my impression is with my very limited exposure.
Okay, fair. That's different.
That's all I have to go on.
That's fine. That I accept. Okay, so some examples. Are you familiar with who Skip Bayless is?
Yes.
Okay. Do you I hope you don't need me to give you exact details of what he does with Michael Jordan, LeBron James. You know what he does, right?
I believe he compares them often.
He does more than that. Now, if you need specific examples...
Well, sorry, before you continue.
Go ahead.
What I have seen of Skip Bayless regarding LeBron and Michael Jordan is Skip Bayless going back and forth on LeBron all the time, saying he's this, he's great, and then saying, nope, he's terrible, he's a flopper. And just wobbling all over the place on every single issue.
Right. At the end of the day, his thing is to elevate Michael Jordan, hate on LeBron James. Now you're going to say, what examples do you have of him hating?
No, you're right. You're right. Now that you bring that up, you're correct. Okay. I have seen Skip Bayless do that.
Okay, so that's one. Are you familiar with who Stephen A. Smith is?
Yes.
Okay, are you familiar with how he's always elevating Michael Jordan, and sometimes he's hating on LeBron James? He doesn't do it to the same amount as Skip Bayless, but he does it.
I have not seen that often, no.
Okay. So I hope you don't ask me for specific examples because then I'm going to have to get exact quotes and I don't have them in front of me.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So he's not an example. Are you familiar with the guy, Max Kellerman?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar that he also elevates Michael Jordan and kind of points the finger at LeBron James?
Excuse me.
Sure.
Excuse me. Sure. No, I was not.
Okay. He does it too. You can go on YouTube. In fact, I'll tell you what, instead of relying on my take, I don't want you to believe me if you don't want to. All you got to do is go on YouTube, find any video where they compare Michael Jordan, LeBron James with Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Chris Bussard, Rob Parker. I'm trying to think of some other guys.
Yeah. I can take your word for
Charles Barkley, Reggie, there's so many guys, Shaq, a bunch of guys. They usually elevate Michael Jordan and they question LeBron James in some unfair way, or they're contradicting themselves, or they're being a hater or whatever. Now, some do it more than others. I'm not saying they're all the same, but at the end of the day, they're doing the same thing basically. Now, I can hardly find any example in the media, man, where it's the other way around. If you have some examples of some names, I'll be open-minded. There's hardly anyone in the media who elevates LeBron James and does a negative stuff with Michael Jordan.
Sure. I don't have a prime example for you, but what do you define as hate by that?
Fair question. When there's a million examples, to be fair to you and for practical, so you can have time to follow up, and for practicality, how many examples do you want me to give you?
One or two, I guess.
One or two? Okay. Is four not too much? That might be too small.
That's fine.
Okay. As you said, Michael Jordan doesn't play in the NBA anymore. Right? That was your point earlier. They bring him up. First, I'm going to tell you the positives they do with him, then I'll tell you the negatives for LeBron James. They bring him up all the time. They're always telling people, basically, there's no doubt he's the number one NBA player of all time. They ridicule people who disagree with them for not picking Michael Jordan as a number one NBA player of all time. And they come up with stupid takes like, even in the future, Michael Jordan will always be the number one NBA player of all time. That's just 4 examples. There's a lot more. Now for LeBron James. Now let's take a look at what they do for LeBron James. Anytime this guy does well, if he shot the ball, why didn't he pass it? If he passed the ball, why didn't he shoot it? If he gave his take on a political thing, why is he talking about politics? Why doesn't he just stick to the NBA? If he doesn't give his take on a political thing, oh, he's a rich guy, famous, he's got it made and all that. Why doesn't he, try to help the community and give his take on something political? If he has hair on his head, is that his real hair? If he shaved his head, oh, he's going bald or something. If he dresses a nice way, look at him showing off. If he doesn't dress a nice way, look at the way he dresses. All day, every day, it's constant belittling, overanalyzing, ridiculing, and all that. It's not just the media. There's pages on Facebook dedicated to tearing him down. It's literally, you can find names like LeBron James haters, Michael Jordan lovers. There's millions of YouTube pages on YouTube where they're dedicated to elevating Michael Jordan and tearing down LeBron James. You can find newspapers articles comparing them, and they'll cherry pick what they want to compare, and they'll always get the good stuff from Michael Jordan and just show you how LeBron James is not good enough in those areas, etc., 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 etc. You can't find as many examples the other way around.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I would point to the fact that LeBron is currently playing, so him being specifically critiqued, is much more of a thing than critiquing Michael Jordan, who isn't having any new games to critique. And Michael, like it or not, most fans, I would say, would consider Michael Jordan to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. So it does make sense that the current greatest player playing would be compared to the greatest, what most consider the greatest of all time. Or one of them.
I've explained that. I already addressed all that in detail. I'm happy to do it again, but I don't want you to feel like we're going in a circle. Do you want me to address all that again, or let it go?
Well,
it's on tape. You can always play it again if you want.
I disagree with what you had said, but
you didn't explain why. Disagreeing is great, but you have to show me. Well, you don't have to. It'd be nice if you showed me how I'm wrong and how you're right. Do you want me to give you some examples again of why what you're saying is not logical?
Sure.
Okay. Number one, if Michael Jordan is not in the NBA anymore, and that's why they're not going to criticize him, then by that logic, they shouldn't be bringing him up all the time because he's not in the NBA anymore. Yeah, but I just said
that he's considered the greatest of all time. Okay. So if he's the gold standard, that's what you would be compared to.
I'm going to get to that. If he's the gold standard, there has to be some proof. There is no proof he's the gold standard. They just believe all sorts of things in their head that don't make any sense. And even if I'm wrong and they have legit takes, they're contradicting themselves on lots of their takes, which I can get into in a second, but let me just wrap this one up here. Number two, whether someone is in the NBA or not in the NBA, it doesn't matter anyway, because you don't have to be a hater and you don't have to elevate someone so high. There's ways to bring up people in a fair way and say, here's why he's statistically better. Here's why he has a better game. Here's what this guy did wrong. And here's why this guy is questionable. That doesn't mean, well, because LeBron James is in the NBA and Michael Jordan's not, now that means it's okay to skyrocket Michael Jordan and stomp on LeBron James. Number three.
Okay, but
go ahead.
Sorry, can I respond to that before you continue? Because I'll forget.
Sure, no problem.
So you're saying they're skyrocketing Michael Jordan. Well, I would say that's the average public opinion of Michael Jordan, and it's not being inflated.
Okay.
You can disagree with that, but that's my opinion on what the average population would think. And so therefore...
Yeah, go ahead.
So therefore, if he is the gold standard, that's why he would be compared to it.
Well, it sounds like you're skipping over.
Sorry, wait. I'm sorry. I forgot. There is no proof of anyone being the best. I mean, there's no one thing that automatically decides that. Nobody can win that award. So what you're doing is comparing stats. You're comparing different abilities and strengths, and especially if they don't play the same position, that's a very difficult thing to do. But I would say on average, Michael Jordan is, well, firstly, he's the most name recognizable player, and most people have heard of him and consider him to be one of the greatest.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. I'll try my best to go through it as fast as possible so you can have time to follow up. There's a lot to unpack here. You are right, the majority of fans pick him. You are right if you want to say he's the most popular NBA player of all time. You're right that the majority of opinions are for Michael Jordan being the number one NBA player of all time. All that you're right on, and it means nothing. Popularity doesn't equal factual. People believing things doesn't equal factual. People voting for him doesn't equal factual. People loving him the most doesn't equal factual. So that just goes out the window. And if
no. I agree with you.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is the reason that it is relevant is because that's the public perception. So if you're addressing who the greatest player, you're talking about greatness, you're going to bring him up.
No, but we're not questioning the perception. We're not questioning why they bring him up. We're saying, you're basically saying, look, I understand.
You question that. That's why. That's my answer to why Michael Jordan is brought up all the time.
But you're dismissing a lot of my points. You're saying, look, okay, fine. Let's say, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just summarizing. You're saying, look, let's say they bring up Michael Jordan a lot and they're unfair to LeBron James and they skyrocket Michael Jordan and all that. Let's just say all that is true. It doesn't matter because the perception is people love him so much. That's not an answer. That's just you're excusing everything and saying it's okay because people think things in their head. Also, I want to point out to you.
I'm telling you why they do that. No, whether or not they're correct in doing that is different. I'm just saying that's why they do it.
But we're not debating that. We know why they do it. We know they love him.
But you asked me, why do they bring up Michael Jordan all the time when it comes to the conversation?
I didn't exactly ask you that. I was actually in the middle of explaining to you how the media...
Well, it was a bit of a hypothetical that you were trying to explain to me.
Well, no. It was about, I said to you, they skyrocket Michael Jordan and they stomp on LeBron James. That's where you came in and said, well, fans are really into him. He's the gold standard. That doesn't excuse skyrocketing Michael Jordan and stomping on LeBron James. It doesn't mean they're right. And even if I'm wrong, and let's say that they're right, okay? They're still going to have lots of contradictions and on their own points. And as you said, there's no way for them to prove it. You're right. There is no way for them to prove it. But at the end of the day, they still conclude it with no proof. Most of the other fans...
Yes, they conclude it because that is the average conclusion average fans have.
Again, you're dismissing and saying it happens because this is what they think. That's not an answer. I know why they think the way they do. We agree what people think, and for the most part, we agree why they think the way they do. We're not debating those things. We're saying if they're right, if they're contradicting themselves, if they're being fair, if they're the worst. That's what we're talking about here. So if you're going to say to me, well, they do it because he's the gold standard. Lots of people pick another guy. They pick Kareem, they pick Bill Russell, they pick Jerry West or whoever, and they don't do the same things that Michael Jordan fans do, which is skyrocket their guy, stomp on whoever's a threat to him, tear down any era that they think is a threat to them, and so on.
I mean, have you met Kobe fans?
And the majority of Kobe Bryant fans are also Michael Jordan fans. The majority of NBA fans are Michael
that's
Jordan
what I'm
fans.
saying. Michael Jordan has the most amount of fans.
Right, and I'm agreeing with you. So when you talk about LeBron James fans and Kobe Bryant fans, if you want to bring up Steph Curry fans and all that, at the end of the day, the majority of them, as you acknowledged earlier, the majority of NBA fans are Michael Jordan fans, so the majority of them are Michael Jordan fans. But yes. back to the media thing. That's where we're stomping and skyrocketing and all that. Remember, it's not just that their takes are wrong, because as you know, popular doesn't equal factual. It's that they also contradict themselves. They find ways to just do anything to elevate their guy and elevate the era he played in, and then they'll find ways to tear down any Hall of Famer who's a threat to him and any era who's a threat to him. Every time you talk about a Michael Jordan fan talks about another era, every time, it's always something negative. The 40s suck, the 50s suck, the 60s suck, the 70s suck. Now we're going to skip over the 80s and 90s. After Michael Jordan left, the ratings went down, everything was going down the drain, the game is not the same, and so on. The 2000s, same thing. 2010s, same thing. Today's NBA, same thing. Everyone sucks, it's a weak era, the rules are terrible and all that, except for one era, and that's the 1980s and 1990s. Take a guess why they love that era so much. Because Michael Jordan played in that era, and they've labeled that era as the number one NBA era of all time. You don't see a pattern there?
A pattern of what?
of how they are, the Michael Jordan fans.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I wouldn't say that every Michael Jordan fan believes that.
Neither would I.
Okay.
It's a general thing. The majority do. And even if I'm wrong, which I'm not, you can't find LeBron James fans, Kobe Bryant fans, Stephen Curry fans, and all that having all those takes. And if you do, because they're out there, I acknowledge they're out there, at the end of the day, they're Michael Jordan fans. Remember, most NBA fans pick
Michael.
Most NBA fans pick Michael Jordan as the number one NBA player of all
the same
time.
point multiple times.
Say it again?
You also said that LeBron fans are Michael Jordan fans.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to me how other fans acting bad, Kobe fans, Steph fans, whatever, they're not in the wrong because they're also Michael Jordan fans.
No, they are in the wrong. They are in the wrong. But listen, I've explained lots of reasons why I'm disagreeing with you. So if you disagree with me at this point, how about this? How about you show me some evidence or some logic or some reason and all that? Like, for example, if you say LeBron James fans, Kobe Bryant fans, Stephen Curry fans, or whoever, if you say they're separate, show me some reasons why, some facts, some logic, something like that. For example, give me a difference.
My mind is kind of spinning at the moment.
Give me, for example, if you want, you obviously don't have to if you don't want to, when it comes to a Michael Jordan fan and a LeBron James fan, how many differences can you come up with?
I don't know. I would never considered the question. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by differences either.
Well, when you say you never considered the question, I'm a little confused about this. On the majority of this phone call, when we talked about this topic, you did disagree about them being the same and all that. You do separate them, don't you?
No, I originally was telling you that I'm grouping them together. That's how we started this whole tangent.
No, you group them together in a certain way. You don't group them together as the same. Like, didn't you also say Kobe Bryant fans? You said, have you met Kobe Bryant fans? You're separating them, aren't you?
Yeah, okay, so they're number one player. That's technically a different group. If you have Kobe as your number one, or if you have LeBron as your number one, those are technically different groups. Even if you're a fan of the other, technically, I thought that's how we were dividing them. Those are different groups.
They can be, and as an exception, just like you have Jerry West fans, Michael Jordan fans, Elgin Baylor fans, all that, regular fans are out there. But they're not the ones that are like really, doing what they're doing. When it comes to the people who go by rings and finals MVPs and voting for an award and all that, they're all the same. The majority of NBA fans pick a certain guy and go by a certain criteria and have certain contradictions and all that. They're all the same type of people. And the proof is, just ask them what they think. If they say Kobe Bryant's number one, who do you think is number two? If they say Kobe Bryant, he's the toughest, who do you think they pick as the second toughest? They're all linked together. And a lot of them don't even pick Kobe Bryant as number one. A lot of them will say, okay, Michael Jordan is number one and Kobe Bryant's number two. Or Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are 1 and 1A. Or you know what, they're both pretty much the same. You can't go wrong with either one of them, or something like that. They're all learning from the same places. They just might have small differences here and there. They have the same takes. They have the same contradictions. But if I'm wrong, dude, I'm
not saying you're wrong. I agree with you.
Well, it sounds like you disagree with a lot.
I thought we were dividing these into more specific categories, where you're saying they both flow, or in general, they're all fans of each other.
Right. As you acknowledge.
Okay,
right?
So how are you dividing Michael Jordan's fans specifically into being the worst?
Sure, I'll give you. So do you want to know why they're the worst? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm saying how are Michael Jordan's fans separated out of this group that you say is fans of, in general, everyone?
Here's a great example. How can I explain this as simply as possible? Let's say you have Michael Jordan fans, Kobe Bryant fans, LeBron James fans, and so on, right? You have a bunch of different groups, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The Kobe Bryant fans, the LeBron James fans, the Jerry West fans, all those fans are going to have tons of disagreements. But they all agree in general, not literally all, but most of them agree in general with Michael Jordan fans.
Okay.
So do you get the similarity there? Like a Jerry West fan and a Kobe Bryant fan.
So you're saying let me clarify. So in general, most fans will come to similar conclusions as a hardcore Michael Jordan fan.
And have the same ridiculous takes and have the same contradictions and all that. At the end of the day, as you acknowledged earlier.
Sorry, specifically about Michael Jordan, though?
It could be about Michael Jordan. It could be about what criteria you should have to rank players. It could be about what they think about certain eras and all that. In fact, I'm making it easier for you. It's not just about Michael Jordan. It's pretty much anything on the NBA. Remember, you even acknowledged earlier that the majority of NBA fans pick Michael Jordan as the number one NBA player of all time.
Right. Okay, so how does that separate from LeBron fans then?
Because
how are they a separate category?
They're not. They're the same people. There's no separation. It's a mirage of our separation.
Okay, so you're just saying that since most of the fans of the NBA are Michael Jordan fans, they are the worst fans.
Of all time. Sports fans of all time.
Well, I agree with you there then.
Okay, yeah, sure. I still have a feeling, though, I'm glad you agree. I still have a feeling, though, that you don't agree with everything exactly. I still think you separate them, and you don't think Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time?
Well, no, okay, so I specifically told you, I specifically originally wrote that since Michael Jordan has the most amount of fans, he does have the most amount of worst fans of all time.
Right, and I disagree with that too. It's not just because he's in the large
But isn't that what we just went over?
No, we're going over now that there actually are Michael Jordan fans. Now that we've established that. Now, your comment that you brought up right now is, well, look, because they have a higher number of people, that's why they're going to have a lot of more question marks. No, it's not that. You can go by ratios and proportions. If you took, a percentage of every fan group out there, and you asked them what's their take, and you found out if they were hating and contradicting themselves and all that, it's still worse with Michael Jordan fans. In other words, they're not the worst just because they have more numbers. They're the worst because they're the worst for lots of reasons, which I can give you some examples if you want. I can give you some examples again if you want. Okay.
I mean, if that... Sure. At least we're finally getting to a clarification on the point, and I'm very happy to be here.
Sure. No, I'm happy you're here. I'm glad we're getting clarification. How many examples do you want me to give you about why they're the worst sports fans of all time?
Well, you went over the media, I guess.
No, I'm talking about why they themselves are actually...
Well, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. However many you want.
Okay, here are some things that I can back up. If you want any examples at the end, let me know. I'll give you the exact proof. These are takes that are mainstream with Michael Jordan fans, and I can back this up then. They claim, I'll give you, is 8 points not too much, not too little? Is that reasonable?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, here they are in no particular order. Michael Jordan is the number one NBA player of all time. Michael Jordan will always be, even in the future, the number one NBA player of all time. Michael Jordan is the number one college basketball player of all time. Michael Jordan is the number one athlete of the entire 20th century. Michael Jordan could beat every NBA Hall of Famer in a one-on-one game. Michael Jordan has the number one NBA statistics of all time. Michael Jordan should have won MVP every year he was in the NBA. Michael Jordan has the number one killer instinct of all time. Now, I just gave you 8 points, and there's a lot more. Let me ask you, have you ever heard any group of sports fans in any sport have this many ridiculous takes about whoever they like in any sport as Michael Jordan fans?
Well, those were definitely ridiculous, but I don't believe that they're as popular as you may think they are.
Okay, now I got to back them up, right?
Sure.
Okay, which one do you want me to back up? Pick anyone.
The college one.
Okay, ESPN did a poll. ESPN, not some guy on YouTube, not some schlob that no one knows about. Right. I shouldn't say schlob, I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't know what that, I just made that word up, I think. Anyway, they did a poll. Who is the number one college basketball player of all time? And they voted for Michael Jordan.
Who was voting?
Well, the majority of NBA fans were voting.
No, sorry. That's what I'm asking. You're asking. So they're polling the fans.
Well, just anyone can vote. It's humans. They're not going to ask animals to vote, right? Anyone can vote.
No, I know. It's just sometimes they do player polls versus public polls. I was just clarifying.
Oh, I see. I understand. Okay, it is a public poll. As I said, it's a public poll. Anyone can vote.
Okay,
Anyway,
gotcha.
you want to know about the number one athlete of the entire 20th century?
Okay, but before we move on,
Sure.
that is a ridiculous claim that Michael Jordan's the best college fan of all time. But once again, I would say, doesn't that just come down to a numbers thing? Because Michael Jordan has the most amount of fans, and there's a lot of people who don't know any other basketball name other than Michael Jordan.
Okay, so again, two things you want to consider. Remember, I'm not going on one thing. I'm going by patterns. I would never
I hear you.
Yeah, I would never say Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time because they voted for Michael Jordan as being the number one college player of all time. But having said that, here's a question for you may want to consider. Have you ever heard of some other group of sports fans in any sport vote for a guy who clearly should not be the number one college player of all time?
No, not specifically to that topic, because I've never heard any. Before this, I hadn't heard any.
Right. In any sport, baseball, soccer, hockey, any other sport, you will never find a famous place asking people who's the number one college player in whatever the sport is of all time, and then
I would actually disagree with that. Sorry.
No, and then
not specifically to the college part, but like Babe Ruth, for example, is unanimously considered the greatest baseball player of all time.
But no, I'm gonna get to that. And then the people vote for a guy who shouldn't be voted for. It doesn't happen anywhere else. It's one example of many examples of why Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. If you like, I can address the Babe Ruth thing, or you can follow up, or go on to another topic, whatever you like.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just one thing. I'm just saying, for counter evidence, I wouldn't say that's necessarily proof that it's not simply a numbers game.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're using a poll of the public, then you're going to have a numbers advantage for Jordan.
No, but again, it's so I can't win in any way. If I don't show you evidence, I can't show you what they think. Therefore, I'm wrong. If I show you evidence, it's like, well, they have more people who think like that, so it's okay. I lose again. That doesn't make any sense. You're going by what people think.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that he has the most amount of fans who will be voting that way.
Right, but that disproves my point. That's an example of why those people, those fans, those guys who pick them are the worst sports fans of all time. We're talking about them, what they think, how they act, how they have thinks where they're wrong, how they contradict themselves.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Why do the majority of NBA fans pick Michael Jordan as the number one NBA player of all time? You said it yourself. There's no proof. So why are they doing this? Why don't they pick John Stockton? Why don't they pick Jerry West? Why don't they pick Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or someone else? Why him? You know the answer.
I would say there's a couple different reasons. I would say culturally he has had the biggest impact on making basketball as popular as it is today. And I would say that he gets repeated over and over that he is the greatest.
Okay, so the second part we agree. He gets repeated on, so they just accept it. So that shows you they're not reliable right there. So it's not because they have the most numbers. It doesn't matter what their percentage is, they are not reliable. Even if half the fans picked Michael Jordan, let's just make it easy for you. Let's say half picked him. They would still have so many stupid takes and so many contradictions and so many things where they move the goalposts and all that. They would still be the worst sports fans of all time. And number two, when you say Michael Jordan had the biggest cultural impact on basketball or whatever, there's no proof for any of that. Only Michael Jordan fans think that.
Sure, there's not proof. That is my impression. And there's a lot of other people who also hold that opinion.
Well, it's not an opinion, it's a claim. But anyway, that's another example of why I label you as a Michael Jordan fan and why I label Michael Jordan fans as the worst sports fans of all time, because you guys believe things like that.
Right, but okay, so my father doesn't care about basketball at all. He cares about soccer. Michael Jordan's his favorite player, simply because he was popular when he was growing up, and he expanded basketball and basketball name.
Okay, so number one, there's two things to address here for me to bring up. Number one, you're kind of making my point that even your dad is not really a basketball fan, and he picks Michael Jordan. That shows you how they're so into him. As another reason why it shows another reason of why they are the worst sports fans of all time. They're not even a fan of the sport, and they pick a guy. And number two, when you say that the reason he did it was because, Michael Jordan's, cultural impact and all that, again, there's no evidence of this. It just seems that way.
Well, if you ask players who've come overseas, almost all of them will tell you that the person that influenced them the most growing up was Michael Jordan. Nowadays, it's getting to be some of the newer players, even LeBron. He's old enough to have reached that point. But on average, I would say most of them would have Jordan as one of their biggest influences.
For the first one you said was the biggest influence, then you said one of the biggest. Which one is it?
Right. Well, definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest. I'm saying today it's getting to become LeBron is probably passing Jordan in terms of influence. But Michael Jordan's been around for a long time. He's expanded the viewership of the NBA. Of course, this is all my opinion.
It's a claim, not an opinion.
Okay. So who would you say has the greatest impact on
I'll get to that,
increasing basketball?
I'll get to that.
Sorry?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
But I just want to, because you said a lot of other things I want to address first. If you're saying the majority of NBA fans pick Michael Jordan as one of their biggest overseas players, pick him as one of their biggest influences, I agree with you. If you say they pick him as the biggest influence, I have no evidence of this. But let's say I'm wrong. Let's say they actually do. That doesn't mean anything in terms of how you're right that Michael Jordan had the biggest cultural influence and all that, because there's no evidence that he did. And when you ask me, who do I think? Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
Well, he also has the largest sports line, and he's had since it came out. I would say that's part evidence towards his impact. Is just how huge his Jordan brand got.
Okay, so I think we should define terms. Let's define terms. When you say he had the biggest cultural influence, what are you referring to?
In terms of getting people into watching basketball, in terms of getting people to enjoying basketball, excuse me, and in terms of inspiring people to play basketball.
I have no evidence that he did any of these things. In fact, I'm going to ask you a common sense question. If you were a Sacramento Kings fan and you were a kid in Northern California and you were just learning about the NBA and you saw Michael Jordan and you saw his tape and highlights, are you saying that A, most likely he's the reason you became a Sacramento Kings fan and stayed that way, or at least became a fan, not stay that way, and B, when you're watching Sacramento Kings home games and watching Sacramento Kings road games and watching Sacramento Kings players being interviewed and all that, how is that really connected to Michael Jordan?
The initial increase in interest.
Okay, so then you are essentially saying that a lot of people, and I know you're not saying everybody, you're saying a lot of people, for example, who are kids, they saw Michael Jordan, then they became interested in the NBA. And then I guess at that point
or basketball in general.
Okay, or basketball in general. I don't really know too many people who would become a fan of basketball and not a fan of the NBA and all that, but I'm sure they're out there. Some people will say they like college basketball more than the NBA, but usually if you're a basketball fan, you pay attention to the professional players. There's no evidence that the majority of people were like, they didn't know anything about basketball, they didn't know anything about the NBA, and then they learned about Michael Jordan, and then they got into basketball and they got into the NBA.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. There's no evidence that a lot of people didn't know anything about basketball and didn't know anything about the NBA, and then they learned something about Michael Jordan, or they saw Michael Jordan or whatever. And then now they became a basketball fan, and now they became an NBA fan.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that they didn't know anything about it. I'm saying Michael Jordan sparked increased interest worldwide.
Okay, that's something we could do that. Same thing I'll say to you, except now change it up to sparked interest. There's no evidence for any of that. A casual fan.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying that is my opinion on what I have experienced.
Well, it's a claim, not an opinion.
Well, yes, all I know is what I've experienced.
I'm disagreeing with you, obviously. I think if you're talking about casual fans, I think maybe a casual fan who may be like, oh man, I got more into basketball because of him. I got more into the NBA because of him, but they don't really pay attention and all that. But
okay, that's fine. You're categorizing certain fans,
right? But you could
casual.
You could do that for any.
Fans.
You could do that for any sport. You can say anything about baseball, hockey, soccer, whatever. But at the end of the day, man, there is no proof that Michael Jordan did all that the most for all the fans, for the majority of fans.
Absolutely.
So why make the claim?
That's my opinion.
It's a claim.
I've been influenced by him. I know many other people who have been influenced by him. I remember just recently after the Nuggets won, Jokic said his influence growing up was was Michael Jordan. And
these are cherry-picked examples, and this is your own personal experience, which you did acknowledge.
Right,
you're going
which is
by,
how I based my opinion on.
But you're again, it's a claim. It's not an opinion, and also
okay, all right,
and also
that's fine.
And also, just because it's your personal experience, that's fine. I have no issue with you going by your bubble that you're going by, but it doesn't make sense to then go, this is how it is for the majority of fans.
Okay, all right. Excuse me. I did forget that I have a Bleacher Report article up here from. Right. It is from 2008, which is kind of before LeBron was as popular as he is now.
Sure. But before you give me the evidence, whatever you're going to give me, I just want you to know Bleacher Report are full of Michael Jordan fans, and they're not reliable sometimes. But go ahead.
Sure. So they did a.
Can I take a guess what you're going to bring up? I want to see if I know Michael Jordan fans as well as I claim. Can I take a guess what you're going to bring up?
Sure.
Actually, to be fair, I'm joking around. I do know Michael Jordan fans as much as I claim, but I'm just making a joke. Okay, I'm going to guess you're going to go by a so-called poll that they had for some group of players. Am I wrong?
No.
All right.
Sports history.
What was it about?
The title is the 5 most recognizable athletes in sports history.
Written by some guy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And he lists Jackie Robinson at 5, Tiger Woods at 4, Muhammad Ali at 3, Michael Jordan at 2, and Babe Ruth at 1.
Okay, so a couple of things here right off the bat. Number one, do you agree with his own list? And number two, to be more specific, do you also think Michael Jordan is the second most influential guy of all time? Or whatever they're claiming, second most in the NBA?
Yeah, so they're saying in sports history, and I would say, yeah, I do agree with that actually. But in terms of strictly basketball, obviously, we're not counting Babe Ruth.
Okay, so in that list, you think Jackie Robinson is the 5th, and the guy who was number 4?
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods 4, and go from number 3 to 1. Who was number 3 to number 1?
Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, and Babe Ruth.
Okay, so do you agree with all 5 guys who are there, regardless where they rank? Do you agree with all those 5 guys?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't considered the topic very often, but that sounds like a reasonable ranking.
Okay, and then when it comes to where they rank them, do you agree with each place they put them?
Yeah, I might actually put Jackie Robinson higher than Tiger Woods,
okay.
But
okay.
mostly good.
Okay, so then you're going to have one contradiction there. If your own list that you're trying to use as why you're right, you don't even agree with that list, then there's a little bit of contradiction.
Well, I said I might, but I don't have a massive issue with it. You asked me if I had any concerns, and maybe the 5th one, maybe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand you said maybe.
Well,
maybe.
I think
maybe
4 and 5 are a lot less set in stone than the top 3.
Okay, that's fine. So at least you're being consistent that in some way that you go, I'm pretty much fine with it, but you're not 100% fine with it. If it's a maybe, it's a maybe.
Okay.
So right. When you give me this as evidence or whatever you're trying to show, that you're trying to show why you're right, logically why you're right, there's a contradiction.
You asked for evidence, and you said I had no evidence to my claim. This is, once again, there's no concrete evidence. This is about public opinion or public perception. So it's very hard to get a comprehensive poll for what the public perception
Sure. So number one, it's not an opinion. They're claims they're making. Number two, it is a perception. I agree with you on that one, but that doesn't mean they're right. Number three, I did ask you for evidence. This is not evidence. Number four, in the examples you gave me, you don't even agree with the examples 100%. You pretty much agree, but you're making it seem like maybe you disagree. And number five, just, whatever number I'm on, I don't even know what number I'm on. But the last point, I'm asking you logically, if there's no proof that all 5 of those guys should be there and should be ranked where they're ranked, what's the point of going by this list?
Well, it's simply an opinion somebody else put out there, or a claim somebody else put out there.
Big difference.
Now, I'm not saying that.
Go ahead.
Look, you can't disprove it, or you can't prove a negative. So they may or may not be. It is what it is.
But what is
my opinion?
What's the point
claim is that he is the greatest influence in basketball, and I would be very curious to hear what your opinion is.
I'll get to that now. I got just what you said right now, though. If you say you can't approve a negative, can you explain what that means? What do you mean you can't prove a negative?
So if you want to say prove that Michael Jordan is not the most I'm getting lost in the sauce.
No problem. How about this? Let's try this. Okay. It is a claim they're making. They're not making an opinion. It's a claim. And when you make a claim, it would be nice if you proved it, and they're not proving it, and you're not proving it. So what's the point of them acting like they're right and you acting like you're right if there's no proof? And also, at the end of the day, man, there's no proof Michael Jordan had the biggest influence on players from other countries or that he had the biggest cultural influence when it comes to people who either became a basketball fan or became an NBA fan or became more of a basketball fan or became more of an NBA fan.
Okay, so are personal stories not evidence?
Evidence for?
Evidence for impact that a player made on the person.
Personal stories, are they evidence for impact? Yes, they are. Yes, that would be fine. Yes.
Okay.
I have no evidence that the majority of players from other countries claim that he had the biggest impact, and I have no evidence that the majority of fans claim that he had the biggest impact to become a basketball fan or become an NBA fan or become a bigger basketball fan or become a bigger NBA fan. I'm being so detailed because I know cause sometimes you kind of play both sides, so I'm going over each possibility in general.
Okay. Right. All I have is my own personal, my own personal experiences.
All right. So if you want to say to me, for you, he was the biggest cultural influence for basketball or made you a basketball fan or made you an NBA fan or made you a bigger basketball fan or made you a bigger NBA fan, I would never question you for any of those things. But you're making it seem like it's for pretty much all the other players who came from other countries and pretty much for all the NBA fans.
No, not all.
Oh, so,
definitely not all.
Not all.
But I'm saying,
I was saying pretty much.
In general, more than any other player, he has had the biggest impact.
Right. No, I know. You're not saying all. I'm saying pretty much. So, the majority of them. The majority of players from other countries, the majority of basketball fans, the majority of NBA fans.
Okay, well, I want to make myself clear. When I say this, I'm not saying he has the greatest influence on a single person in every case. I'm saying in totality, he has had the most impact from person to person. Now, you can disagree with that claim if you like. That's how I see it.
Yeah, okay, no, I know you believe that, but there's no proof of any of this. If you make a claim, It'd be nice if there'd be proof. If you don't have the proof, I'd hope you'd stop making the claim, unless it's inconclusive or you have some logic why. There's no logic either. And the 1992 Dream Team, when they were introducing players to the fans, Michael Jordan would get a big standing ovation, and so would Magic Johnson.
Okay, sure.
So that's 1992 when he's in his prime. LeBron James, as you pointed out earlier, Michael Jordan has been around longer, so there's more reasons to elevate him and all that. I don't have your exact words, but you were making a point like that. Right. Think about this logically. If LeBron James hasn't been around as long, and he is not as famous, and he's maybe, he's still in the NBA, he's not retired and all that, and he's still number 2, that shows you it's not just about who's been around the longest, who's more famous, who's more known and all that. Other factors come into play, which I'm sure you'll acknowledge, but if you're going to go by what people think all sorts of things for all sorts of reasons.
Okay. So, do you want another survey that I had up?
Sure, if you want. But you could ask kids today. A lot of kids today, they're not exactly, some of them don't even know much about Michael Jordan. And when they're shooting balls, they'll say things like Steph Curry.
Right. Yeah. No, that's definitely true.
Okay, go ahead. You had some other evidence or something?
Yeah. So, Hoops Hype. I don't know anything about them?
I can tell you that they're also full of Michael Jordan lovers, and they're also not reliable.
Sure. Well, this isn't an opinion piece. This is a survey of 52
can I
former
guess the
and
survey?
current NBA players.
Can I guess the survey? Oh, that was my guess. It was a survey about the players. So go
Right.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So players in the NBA are saying that Michael Jordan, 25 of them out of the 52, said that they were that he was the most influential.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So there's just a little bit of evidence that you asked for.
25 out of 52. That's not even half.
Correct, but if no other player got more than 5 votes, that's a pretty substantial percentage.
Based on that poll.
Correct.
Now, I'm all for polling. I gave you an ESPN poll, but there's a big difference between an ESPN versus Hoops Hype and ESPN asking anyone versus Hoops Hype asking 52, and then of those 52, 25 voted for Michael Jordan. And then consider also the 25 they asked, what's their age? How much influence could they have possibly had from Michael Jordan? You want to know why they voted for Michael Jordan, the real thing?
Let me guess. Because they felt pressured to.
You could make that, but that wasn't where I was going to go. That's part of it. Now, I have no proof what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you straight up right now, I have no proof. So you can always point the finger at me and say, where's your evidence? I'm going to take a guess. Whenever you don't have facts, then it's okay to go by guesses and logic and opinions and all that. A lot of people, when they're being told over and over and over and over, Michael Jordan's the greatest, no doubt about it. It's a joke if you don't pick him and all that. Whenever you have a mass media influencing, telling people, a mass population something for years and years and years and years, sometimes, especially if you're young, you don't really think about it too much. You just assume it must be Michael Jordan who's the greatest. The people with the suit, they must be right. The guys on TV, they must be experts and all that. You just accept things. You're not really thinking if he's the greatest. To give you a great example, there was a high school in 2023 that had a prom. Okay, this is 2023, so they're like 17, 18. They weren't alive, I think, when Michael Jordan played in the NBA. They definitely weren't alive when he was in his prime. They had a prom that was basically a thumb up to Michael Jordan. Why would 17-year-old girls in 2023 be so into Michael Jordan? They're not really into him. They're just, I don't want to say they're pressured. It's just kind of, they're brainwashed. They're just zombies for him. They're cult members for him and all that. You know, most girls.
Okay, so you would call it brainwashing. I would call it influence.
I'm fine with that too. I was using more than one word. Zombie, brainwashing. I think maybe I use the word influence. I don't know, but I have used that word in the past, and so on. It's something like that. So when you ask people what you think, you have to consider a lot of other circumstances too. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you're simultaneously saying that there's a large percentage of people who have been brainwashed into thinking LeBron, or LeBron, I got to take a different picture. Sorry. A large percentage of people have been brainwashed into thinking that Michael Jordan is the greatest, but then you're also saying that he doesn't have the most influence.
Saying he's the greatest and he doesn't have the most influence in basketball?
Yeah, like you're simultaneously saying that.
No, when you say influence, it depends on what influence. If you're talking clothing, Nike shoes, his name and all that, he is the most famous NBA player of all time. If you're talking about influence, like, oh, they became fans because of him, there's no evidence for that.
All right, that's fine. We can disagree with that.
Yeah. So if you're saying he's the most famous NBA player of all time, I agree. If you're saying most NBA fans pick him as the number one NBA player of all time, I agree. If you're saying his shoes are the most popular for any basketball player, I agree. All that, I agree. If you're saying he has the most cultural influence for basketball fans around the world, in terms of becoming a basketball fan or becoming an NBA fan or becoming a bigger basketball fan or becoming a bigger NBA fan, and if you're saying, he influenced the majority of players who come from other countries, like, whether they came to America or not, there's no evidence for any of this. So when you say we disagree, we're not disagreeing, you're just not accepting it.
Okay, so all right, so what would you say is the greatest?
In terms of
cultural impact.
And what do you mean by cultural impact?
Okay, so we seem to keep getting like stuck here. But it's always good to define the totality of influence around basketball.
Yeah, it's always good to define terms, man. Always, because that's one of the reasons people fight and argue and disagree and all that is because they're thinking whatever they want to think in their head. But it's good to analyze and ask questions and get into the details and all that. So you're saying the biggest cultural influence in terms of basketball?
Yeah.
Basketball meaning like they became a fan, they became a bigger fan, they became a bandwagon fan of Michael Jordan, of a player, or what?
All of the above.
There's no such thing.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. All right. All right. Well, Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Sorry?
No, I'm joking. I was like, okay, Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Okay.
All right. Now, is that it?
I was just a little. That just came out of nowhere.
No, because you weren't saying anything. It was just a little silent. It was a little awkward. I just made a joke. I was like, oh, okay, right, Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying nothing was happening. Nothing was going on.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, we did get stuck quite a bit. I just wanted to originally read my comments.
Sure.
Because you had said I was being negative, and I was negative. But I was negative in response to your negativity, and we did never get to get there.
Do you think so far in what you've written, I know you haven't finished, I haven't written anything negative so far in what you brought up.
Correct.
So when you say you were negative because I was being negative, so far you haven't shown that.
Okay, so far would you say I've been negative?
On this phone call or on the...
No. Up to the point in the post that we were reading. Because you had said I was extremely negative on the post, and
No, I didn't say extremely negative. No, not extremely negative. No, I never said that. Because the reason I know this, even though I don't have everything in front of me, is number one, and I know you can say this about yourself, I know how I act. I try very hard to be nice, respectful, kind, and pleasant to people. And I don't go to people's pages usually and write negative things. And usually all I write to people is, hey, would you like to go on my podcast? Hey, here's my email. Hey, if you like, we can go over things, past typing. And, I don't have the exact words. It's stuff like that. I don't want to type things online. You want to go on all that. And then they react in negative ways. They'll say things like, oh, you're scared to type to me. Oh, okay, you don't have critical thinking like me. Oh, okay, you don't want to go over these things because you're avoiding all that. You know who I'm referring to? You wrote things like that.
So we had just finished my comment of saying about both groups of fans, and then you had replied, and so your response was, sorry, hold on, let me just make sure I'm getting this right.
Sure. By the way, are you going to have every response? Because some did get deleted. I can get them back from YouTube just to verify everything, but I don't think you're going to have everything, because what if I wrote something to you and then you didn't get it right away, and then it got deleted, the whole thing, one or more messages got deleted. You may not have everything.
That is possible. I only have what I had, so I can defend myself with what I saw.
All right. Okay, I hope you don't come to conclusions.
I'm sorry?
I hope you don't come to some conclusions that are unfair, like unfair ones. Well, anyway, go ahead. Continue where we left off. Go ahead.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to line this, because I have them in two separate screens, so I need to make sure that they're
take your time. No
the correct order.
No, take your time. In the meantime, while we're waiting, I want to take this time to remind everybody, Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Okay, so I'm up to date. So after my comment, you replied with, well, you made a lot of questionable points, and each point that you made has multiple things that you should know, which you have repeated on here. But I do not like to get onto online typing wars. So if you like, we can go on your podcast, or we can go on my podcast.
Right.
And I said,
so far nothing negative, right? So far nothing negative, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So I said, if you want to explain in depth, I'll definitely go on your podcast. I don't have a claim on who the worst fans are, however, and it's impossible to prove a negative. But I'll definitely have a discussion with you about the subject. So far nothing negative from me, correct?
No, so far nothing negative. I have a fear that there's going to be something I type that's not going to be there. Go ahead.
Okay. You responded with, you wrote some ridiculous things. You wrote things that only a Michael Jordan fan would write, and you won't go on my podcast because you're scared.
Okay, so they're definitely...
So it's possible that you never got my message.
Yeah.
But when I saw that, I was surprised, and I can immediately show you how I reacted.
That's fine. There were some other things that were not there. So that's definitely played a role. But can I ask you,
Okay.
let's assume there wasn't. Let's assume there wasn't anything else that I typed that you missed, and there wasn't anything that you typed that I missed. If I do feel like you have some ridiculous takes, yeah, it's not positive to say, hey, you got ridiculous takes. But it's not exactly negative. It's one of those things where it shouldn't be labeled as negative as positive. It's just I think there's some ridiculous takes.
That specific part is not negative.
Oh, okay.
The only part that seemed a little out of pocket to me was if you're too scared to go on my podcast, that's fine. Or, sorry, you said specifically, and you won't go on my podcast because you are scared. And I had literally just commented that I would go on your podcast and have a discussion with you about it.
Yeah, so remember, I'm not getting all this. They're not showing me all this right away. And I do think, based on what you told me, because I know myself, I did write some other things that you didn't get either. I think those messages got deleted. Because I wouldn't just say randomly after what you wrote, hey, you're scared. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it was very quickly after I had posted my comment. And unfortunately, I can't give exact timestamps because it's been over a month now. But
even if it was quickly,
was surprising to me.
Even if it was quickly,
how I responded next was my first instance of negativity.
Okay. But
so I'm just telling you, I was responding to what I was met with.
Even if it was quick, I still think there were some things you wrote that I didn't have, and there were some things I wrote that you didn't have.
I didn't see any of my comments deleted.
Oh, I deleted my own comments and not yours?
Correct.
Or whoever deleted it, because I didn't delete anything.
Just YouTube or you or whoever, yeah. Well, none of mine were deleted.
Okay, that's strange, but that's possible. I'll acknowledge it's possible. But again, the whole post, all the posts are not being there. But in any case, dude, the other part about being scared, yeah, that's not. Let's just keep it simple. Let's say there was nothing else that got deleted. Let's say I didn't have anything deleted. You didn't have anything deleted. If I'm saying, what did I write that you might be scared of going? What did I write?
And you won't go on my podcast because you are scared.
Okay, yeah. So that's not a positive thing. That's a little negative. And you're going to get to it. I don't think that negative equals the way you reacted. I think if you would have said something on that level, you would have been I'm open-minded to you being fair, in the right. If, let's say, there's no other post that had deleted from my side and no other post would delete on your side. But I think the way you reacted was a little bit more stronger than it should have been. But we'll get to that.
Okay, sure. Let me share that then. Right. So I said I was expecting a response on how to contact
just real quick, did you finish reading what I wrote? Was that it?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure the audience gets where the new one starts and ends and all that. And they get everything.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you wanted me to reread what you just said?
You know what? Yeah, might as well, yeah.
Okay, so you wrote some ridiculous things. You wrote things that only a Michael Jordan fan would write. And you won't go on my podcast because you are scared.
All right.
And I responded with, I was expecting a response on how to contact you, but I realized I never explicitly asked for it. If you're too scared to talk to someone who's thinking critically, that's fine.
Yeah,
otherwise,
real quick.
Please let me know how to contact you.
Real quick. Now I'm 100% sure that some stuff we're missing, because I remember before you wrote that about, hey, I realized I didn't ask you to go on. I wrote to you something, which I know you read. It was there, where I wrote something like, how do you expect me to put you on? I don't have your information. I don't know anything about you. You have to email me and all that. And then that's when you wrote, I just realized I didn't give you my information or whatever. So there are some things missing.
Well, immediately after that, you replied with, well, never got an email then.
Say it again? Go back to where you left off first before we get to that. Where'd you leave off earlier?
At the end of my comment?
Yeah, I think the last one, just read your comment again and go from there.
I was expecting a response on how to contact you, but I realized I never explicitly asked for it. If you're too scared to talk to someone who's thinking critically, that's fine. Otherwise, please let me know how to contact you.
Right. So can I ask you, so remember, assuming that none of my posts were deleted and none of your posts were deleted, okay? We're just going to make it simple here, which I know for a fact there were multiple posts that were deleted. Why would I want you on my podcast and then be too scared to debate you? And then why would you assume it's because there's not enough critical thinking going on or whatever? You know, just because I wrote you're scared to go on my podcast, wouldn't you be on the same level? Like if I'm being negative first, right?
Okay, so I'll explain.
If I'm being negative first and I'm saying you're too scared to go on my podcast, if you want to follow up, I'm not saying you have to do exactly what I did. You can do whatever you want, obviously. But if we're trying to analyze who's worse and who started it, to be fair to you, to be fair to us, to me, wouldn't you be reacting in a same kind of thing? Why would you react in a more negative way? And how would your response even make sense? I'm inviting you to go on, but you think I'm too scared to put you on, and it's because I don't have enough critical thinking going on or something?
Okay, so I responded with the too scared because you had responded with too scared. And my response was an if. Your response was a statement saying that I was too scared. And I just found that a bit aggressive for the topic that we were having that seemed to come out of nowhere. And so that's why I responded in kind. Like I said in the beginning, I tried to be light. I wasn't going to call you any names. I was just saying, if you're too scared, that's fine. Otherwise, I would like to go on.
Yeah, remember, as you acknowledge...
Sorry, and so the reason that I said, if you're too scared, thinking, well, you would only say that if you didn't actually want anyone to come on and you just wanted to piss people off and get people to rage.
What was that last part? What was that?
So I was thinking, if you're going to make a statement saying that I'm too scared to go on, perhaps what you're trying to do is simply get people to not go on and just rage.
I mean, look, you can say that I'm making an assumption that you're too scared, but you're making a much more, you're also making an assumption, which is a contradiction, and then your assumption is ridiculous. You're saying...
Well, you weren't making an assumption, you made a statement.
Right, and it's based on an assumption. What you disagree with me, so obviously I'm assuming wrong, right?
Well, I'm currently on your podcast.
No. I'm saying at the time, obviously, if none of my messages got deleted and none of your messages got deleted, which I know they did, but if we just go on this straight up for what it is, and let's just say I was saying, hey, you're not going to go on because you're scared. So I'm assuming things wrong, right? Like I'm wrong. You're not actually scared. You're going to go on, right?
Right.
Okay. So you did two bad things here. You contradict yourself when you made an assumption. And then secondly, your assumption was much more ridiculous than mine because my assumption was, hey, you're too scared to go on my podcast. Your assumption was, I'm just, trolling people, and all I'm going to do is put them on and not have I'm not going to have a real debate. I'm just going to act in a fit, or I'm going to act like with rage and things like that?
Well, assuming, not assuming, because this is how I experienced it. That is the first response I got back from you after saying that I would go on your podcast. And so it to me seemed extremely odd that you would send out an invitation and then immediately claim that I'm too scared to go on. That's just something that people who rage bait do.
I can understand if you say, don't assume I'm not going to go on. Don't assume I'm scared. Those parts I can understand. But for you to make an assumption yourself,
I was being tongue-in-cheek.
Okay, fine.
Putting it back back at you.
Fine, okay. But then if you're going to be tongue-in-cheek and you just want to give me, one-up me, I would think you'd be on the same type of level, like something that I did. But your assumption was in the level of ridiculousness because you're saying that I don't want to actually put you on. I'm not actually going to have a debate with you. I'm going to just act in a way where I'm showing rage and things like that. Like you're taking it to a different level. It's ridiculous.
Well, okay, you can... I would disagree with you, but you can believe that. That's fine. The only thing I really wanted to defend is that I came out of nowhere with the negativity when, in fact, I was responding. Now, if you want to say that I responded overly, that's fine.
Okay,
I'll accept that.
And by the way, when you say when I wrote to you that you're too scared to go on, this is you're not wrong or right because whenever you read a sentence, you can always take it in a different way, right? Like it can be. I'll give you an example. If I write to you, oh, you're not going to go on because you're too scared, or dude, you're not going to go on because you're too scared, or you ain't going on because you're too scared, or something like that. You see how it can be taken in different ways? So I do think,
which is why I used an if statement.
Right. So I do think, I'm not blaming you for how you take it, because you can take it the way you're going to take it. I do think if you want to be real fair, when you read a sentence, you should be open to the possibility that maybe you're taking it the wrong way. Now, you say you wrote if. I get that, but it still seems like you were pretty sure that you were right in the way you took it,
I was really hoping to be able to go on. I was surprised and unsure what you were trying to accomplish.
I was hoping you'd go on. I always hope a Michael Jordan fan goes on. In my experience, since you want to talk about how you took it, let me tell you how I take it. In my experience, the majority of Michael Jordan fans who write me don't go on. And that's usually because, not always, But usually it's because they're scared, they're gutless, they're frightened, they're cowards. They just feel more, they like to type online. They feel like they're on top when they're online. They feel more comfortable typing online. So
I get that.
So I've come to the conclusion this is how they are. So this is why sometimes I assume with people, you're not going to go on because you're scared. And the majority of times I'm right. And I want to be wrong. I want to put that in there so they can have hopefully more of an incentive to go on and not keep writing me online. Because people, for whatever reason, people love to text and type online all day and all night. I don't have time to do it. I'm not interested. It's not worth it and all that. I'd rather just have a personal thing where I'm going over things with them.
That's understandable.
Think about all the things we went over on this phone call. Imagine if you and I were typing all this.
Well, it probably would have been a little easier to keep track of, to be honest.
Oh, come on, man. If we're typing all this, it would take longer.
It would take forever. I was just giving the small benefit.
No, it would be more draining. People may not, naturally they're not going to read everything. And there's more examples, but you get the point. There's so much more benefits to talking to people than texting to them. Texting is great. I'm not against texting. It comes in handy. There's times where it's beneficial. And I'm not against people who want to text instead of talking, especially if they can't talk. Maybe they can only text. But as a general rule, if you're able to talk and you have time and energy and all that, why not just do that instead of texting?
Sure.
Yeah. On my page, I advertise many different places. If you want to go on, send me an email. I'm assuming you probably didn't know about those things at the time, right?
At the time, no.
Yeah.
I believe I did find it myself then, but yeah.
You found it eventually, right?
Right, because I found the page, the Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time, and that page had the email. So.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you found out about it. Is it because I think I wrote to you, right? You were asking me where can I find the podcast. You wrote me somewhere else, not this thread.
Yes, I believe that was a different post.
Right, it was a different post, and then I wrote to you. You can find it on a page called Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. Now, maybe at that point you already knew about it. So do you recall? Did you find out about it because I wrote to you about telling you the page, or did you find it on your own?
Can't be positive on that.
No problem.
On the order of that.
No problem. Just wondering. Okay.
It was a month ago, so.
Yeah, no problem. It might have been more than a month, I think.
The comment says, a month to 2 months.
Yeah, I know. The way they do it, they'll show like 1 week, but it could actually be more than a week.
Right.
Yeah. So I understand why you said it. Anyway, the bottom line is probably more than a month ago. I'm guessing. Now I'm not even sure. Anyway,
at least a month.
There's no way for us to know because they don't have an exact time frame, right? But I'm guessing it's more than a month. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to continue, it's up to you.
Sure. So you said, never got an email then, and so that's when I went to email you, and then I saw you responded with a very long post that I don't have to read if you don't want me to.
Yeah. See, this is now I'm even more sure there's some posts missing. For me to write, and I remember this, the more when you read all this, I'm remembering more now. And I have some of the posts in front of me too. And I can get the records from YouTube, which will just take a long time. But anyway.
Right. Well, so then I saw that you had been deleting posts. And so I wrote, oof, deleting your comments doesn't look good for someone acting so smugly correct.
Right. So see, this is where I think it doesn't matter if I'm wrong or right, because you're also being negative. Now you can say you're one-upping me, but you're taking it to a more negative level and you're making a lot of strange assumptions and you're also having points that don't even make sense and so on. So even if you think I started it all.
That's fine that you don't think my points make sense. That's fine that you think that I escalated it. I did escalate it. I was just defending the point that I didn't start out being negative and extremely aggressive.
I understand, but we can get into that too. I also think you were contradicting yourself, and just you get the point. There's more examples, but you get the point.
That's fine. The point is, I understand what you're saying. We've gone over that.
I don't think it's fair to just either dismiss or ignore all that and go, well, you wrote, you're too scared to go on my podcast.
Hey, I'm not dismissing it. I just wanted to make my case to anyone who happens to listen.
Okay. Do you want to go over what you wrote, though? Like why I'm questioning those things that you wrote? Do you want to go over those or no?
Go over what?
Like the other points you brought up after that, the ones you just read right now, you kind of...
deleting your comments?
That and the smug and the accusing me of, acting like I know so much. You know what I mean? Like acting like I'm being high and mighty and all that. Whatever. I don't have the exact words.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it did appear that you deleted all of your comments or all of your replies to me in order to, I guess, obfuscate the situation. That's how it appeared.
That's your assumption.
Correct. It is. That's how it appeared to me.
But are you new?
So I'm just explaining myself.
No, I know, but is that really how it appeared to you? Isn't that just you just trying to find a way to make yourself feel like you won the argument?
No, sir. When you delete every single reply to me and then then after that write a massive reply about how I'm in the wrong and I'm starting drama, it just seemed like, well, they don't know if I was starting drama if they can't actually see what you said.
But who cares what they think? It's about you and me. It's between you and me. We're not doing this to impress them.
I hear you. I'm right there with you, but that's what it appeared that you were doing.
If I wanted to do it that way, if I was that small-minded that I'm so desperate to get attention from people on my side and make it seem like I won and you're wrong and all that, I would A, not even write to you and set myself up to lose. B, let's say you're proving me wrong, right? You're the man, you're on top and all that. I wouldn't write to you. And if I did make a mistake of writing to you and I realize this guy's smarter, he's on top, he's a man, all that, I wouldn't keep writing to you. And if I did keep writing to you, I wouldn't be so detailed and set myself up to make sure that you're winning more and I'm losing more. And D, I would just delete everything. I wouldn't even keep anything there. And actually, I would take it a step further. I would block you from the page. But why would I do all this, deleting your comments because I want credit and I want to show that I'm better or whatever, smarter, and then keep engaging and not block you and, keep writing details and all that? It doesn't make any sense.
Certainly doesn't.
So why not just come to the real conclusion, man? It's not that you really thought
that YouTube deleted every single comment of yours, but not mine.
I'll get to that in a second. But before your assumptions, I'm talking about your assumptions. Why not just acknowledge that A, your assumptions were a little ridiculous, and B, you're also just trying to find a way to make yourself feel like you won?
No, I'm simply defending my position of how I experienced it.
Okay, fine. So there's no reason to go in a circle about this. I've got my takes and my questions. You have your takes and your questions. We'll let the audience decide.
Yeah, so you can think whatever you want of me. I just wanted to defend myself.
Same.
And
you
now
can think whatever you want. I want to defend myself. Let's go to the YouTube part. I didn't delete anything, man. YouTube deleted them.
No, I'm not saying you did necessarily. At the time, that's how it appeared.
But no, you weren't.
If you want to say that you didn't, fair enough. I'll believe you.
No, but you are saying I deleted it.
Correct. Yes.
Right,
now I'm saying I will believe you if you're saying you didn't delete them.
But again, why come to that assumption?
Because I knew nothing about you.
So why assume that I deleted it?
Because that's what it appeared to be when you deleted it shortly after replying to me.
But if you know nothing about me, that would be more reason not to assume that I deleted it.
Fair enough.
Okay. By the way, so here's how YouTube works. Let me tell you how it works. YouTube has an algorithm. It's not a logical, factual, reasonable, good algorithm. It's an algorithm. Algorithms do all kinds of dumb things. Random posts get deleted. Random posts go to a section where you have to approve them. Random posts don't even let you post it because you use a certain word or certain words, or there's a link or some links. No one knows how it works 100%. It's never 100% factual, logical, reasonable, all that. So when you say, well, why would they delete, I don't have your exact words, okay? So you said something like, why would they keep your post and not mine? You were asking me that or telling me that. This is how YouTube is. It just does random things. Oh
yeah, but it is pretty odd to delete every single reply of yours beyond the very last one you gave, and not leave a few or delete a few of mine.
It's odd in the sense, why does YouTube have this system? It's not odd in the sense that it happens, because it happens all the time. If a YouTube
but that normally happens to people who it's not their page.
No.
Since this is your page, I assume you have control over that.
I only have so much.
You do.
I have the amount of control that they let me have. I don't control whatever I want. If someone wants to put something racist and sexual and hateful, whatever, even if I say it's okay, YouTube won't allow it.
Right, sure.
So it's not about my control. It's about the end of the day where it's YouTube who's in control. They decide whatever they want. They give some control to people, but they don't give you 100% control. So there's no reason to.
Yes, but true or false, you and YouTube are the only ones who can delete your comments on your page.
Yeah, no. You can also put other people in charge to delete comments.
Okay, but they would have to have access to the channel, right?
Yes.
Or be selected as being able to do that.
Permission, right.
Permission, yeah. So
So I don't think
assuming you don't have anyone else, it was either you or YouTube.
Right, exactly. So I don't think you're new to YouTube. I think you've either experienced yourself or you've seen how other people have had this thing where they go, hey, I wrote something, it's not there, or hey, it didn't go through, or hey, why did it delete it and all that. This happens a million times a day. So
yeah,
so
I never see every single comment wiped out. It's only particular ones.
Okay,
so that was very odd to me.
Okay, fine. Now, I'll believe you if you say that. There's no way for me to prove you're right or wrong. I just would think that a person who goes on YouTube, a lot of times, like a lot of people who like YouTube, that you would have tons of experiences where you either you yourself have experienced this or you've seen other people experience this, where one or more posts get randomly deleted or randomly don't get approved or randomly they get blocked or whatever. This happens all the time. So if you're really going to tell me...
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's that random. Usually, like you said, it has something to do with profanity or a topic that's considered sensitive or a link, like you said, or the creator deleted it. So there's two options. It was either YouTube or you.
Right.
And so I figured every single post at the same time by YouTube, when we're talking about a topic that has no profanity, no weird things about it, was very odd, especially when neither one of us have been calling each other names or anything. And so I thought, therefore, that leaves only you.
Okay, so then it was because you didn't know. So I'm telling you right now, you're wrong. I didn't delete anything. And
okay,
if you didn't know, that's okay. If you didn't know, that's okay. But I would think that even though you didn't know, and I understand that, I would think that because you know YouTube's in charge and there is an algorithm and some things like that do happen and all that, I would think you would at least say, maybe it's possible YouTube did it.
Well, yeah, it is possible. And I thought it was most possible or most likely that it was the person who posted it.
That's not, but the way you wrote it though wasn't like, okay, it's possible YouTube did it, but I think it's most likely you. You made it seem like it was me. And in fact, on this phone call, you made it seem like...
that's the stance that I thought was most likely, right, so that's what I went with.
And on this phone call, you made it seem like you did think it was me until I clarified, now you don't. So you're not exactly, you weren't...
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, even on this phone call, you were saying that you did think it was me, and now you don't anymore because I've clarified that it wasn't me and all that. So
well, I'm taking you for your word.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. So when you make it seem like, hey, look, it's either YouTube or you, and I know it's possible it's YouTube, but I thought it was you, and so I just concluded it might be you and all that. That's not how you made it seem like when you wrote online, and that's not how you made it seem like when you were on this phone call.
Well, I was very short, as is typical of a comment.
And I'm going by what you write and what you tell me. And remember, on this phone call too, it's not just what you wrote. What you made it seem like on this phone call too, you were a little bit different. At the end of the day, you didn't make it seem like it might be YouTube, it's possibly YouTube, but I think it might be you, so I'm guessing it's you. You made it seem like it's you who's doing it, and you're doing it because of this negative, this reason or that reason where you're being negative.
Yes, that is how I made it seem. And then I was telling you the process I went through to arrive at that conclusion.
No, the way you're explaining it now,
that is what happened.
Wasn't how you wrote it. It wasn't how you wrote it.
Take my word for it. That's what happened.
That's not how you wrote it online. But even if I'm wrong, that's not how you explained it.
It doesn't have to be how I wrote it online. That's how I arrived at the conclusion.
Right. But when it matters how you wrote it, because I'm going by what you write. I'm not a mind reader. I have to go by what you write. So it doesn't matter to me what you concluded.
Right, but then you can't say that what I've been saying on this is contradictory to what I originally posted, because I'm explaining the backstory behind the comment.
Yeah, right. But I'm also questioning how you come to conclusions, and I'm also questioning not just what you wrote online. Even if I accept your answer of that you're writing things shortly to keep it simple or whatever you said earlier, then you also said certain things on this phone call which was different from the way you're describing why you did what you did. In other words, what I'm saying to you is what you wrote online and what you wrote on this phone call. What you brought up on this phone call is different from the way you're trying to explain it away, like the way you're explaining why you did what you did. Like, for example, you're making it seem like, okay, look, it's either you or YouTube. It's possibly YouTube. I'm guessing it's you, so I'm going to say it's you. That's what your conclusion is now. But,
yes, because I have never... That's what my conclusion was then, because I have never seen every single reply wiped out like that when there was no topic that could be considered deleted.
No, we already understand why you did it. Let's get past that.
Okay.
What I'm saying now is when you explain why you did what you did, the reason that you're explaining why you did what you did was different from what you wrote online, and even if I'm wrong, or even if you say
reason that I explained.
Let me just.
Can you repeat that?
But let me just go through all the way through. When you explain why you did what you did, it was different from the way you wrote online, and it was different from the way you explained it on this phone call. So even if you say to me, I wrote it simply online to keep things simple and more faster and all
How
that,
is it different?
it's also different from the way you explained it on this phone call.
Okay, how is it different?
When you wrote online and when you explained it on this phone call, it was basically, you did it. I think you did it. I think you did it for this reason or those reasons, and like it was like some negative thing.
Okay.
That's different from saying, you know what, man, it could be YouTube, it could be you. I know YouTube might do it. It's possible they did it, but I'm going to guess it's you. There's a big difference there.
Can you separate the journey to the conclusion from the conclusion or not?
Okay, when you want to get to the bottom line, I get why you thought the way you did. I still wonder why you assumed what you did, though. But I guess if you don't know how YouTube works,
because of the prior experience of you saying I was too scared to go on after just saying that I would go on and asking how, and then seeing all the comments deleted without any prior experience.
Well, that's not what happened. No, it wasn't like I'd like to go on how. Remember, you even said to me that you just realized you didn't ask me how to go on or something like that.
Did I say?
I don't have the exact word. It was something like that.
So it had escalated to a point where suddenly it seemed like you just wanted to stop the conversation, be done with me, and I was like, oof.
No, not stop the conversation. I never was interested in having an online typing war. I write this all the time, which is okay if you don't know that. I'm not expecting you to know that, but I'm clearly showing you I'm not interested in online typing war, and I've told you, basically, I don't have the exact words, but I basically told you I don't want to get into an online typing war.
I understand that. I'm saying I thought you wanted to cut ties. You were done. You didn't actually want to do it.
And you assumed wrong. That's not what happened.
Correct. Yes, I did.
But can I ask you, forget about the assumption now. Why would I, just logically speaking, why would I say, hey, you can go on the podcast when A, I don't actually want to put you on, B, I don't actually want to debate you, C, I just want to give you rage, and D, whatever else?
People are illogical all the time. I'm sure you know this.
That is definitely true. To be fair, man, I'm not trying to fight with you. I do think you're being illogical here. I think you're one of those people right now.
All right.
Okay.
That's fine, because I think the same of you, but hey, it is what it is, right?
But there's no reason for you to think that about me, and I have reason to think that about you.
You're refusing to separate certain parts of what I'm saying, and that's fine. You know what? There's nothing I can do to change the way that you're interpreting what I'm saying.
I thought I was actually not separating that. I thought I'm going to each point by point, being very detailed, very analytical and all that. By the way,
you're saying that my original thoughts are not conveyed in the comment that I made, and that's fine. That's not what I did. I was saying there's a difference.
And on the phone call. Remember, you made it seem like earlier you kept it simple just to keep it simple, but that's not why you did it. You believed what you believed, and you brought it up on the phone call the same way.
Yes. And so I kept it simple to clearly convey that point.
I can't go by what you're thinking. I have to go by what you write. And even if I'm wrong to do that...
Yes, and that is the conclusion that I came to.
Even if I'm wrong to do that, you're on the phone call, so now you don't have to type simply. You can bring up whatever you want in detail, and you still did the same thing that you did online. And after that, look at what you wrote after that. Once you get into that, the way you wrote online... If you're saying, look, I didn't tell you everything, I kept it simple. Even if I accept it, which I don't, because I'm not going by, I can't read your mind, I have to go by what you write. I don't accept it also because now that you're on the phone, you don't have to type things in a simple way. You're talking, obviously, so you don't have to keep it simple. Now, you can still do it if you want to, but the point is you're bringing up stuff on the phone the same way you typed online.
Yes, because I wanted to explain what we were going through.
No, not that part. Not that part. I'm talking about the part where you're keeping it simple and blaming me then. And also what you wrote after that, which we'll get into whenever you're ready. There's some stuff.
What did I write after that?
I don't have, let's see here. Remember, I don't have everything. I'll just read what I have. Or you can read where you left off. Were you reading about...
Well, that was the last comment I made.
Wasn't there two more you had? Because I have two more from you.
Are they on a different channel?
No, it's the same page. One was the one, I think you were reading, I think you had more. What was the last thing that you read?
Was this a different post?
Oh, same thread. What was the last one that you read?
Oof, deleting your comments doesn't look good for someone acting so smugly correct.
No, there was one more before that, I think.
The one before that?
Yeah.
I was expecting a response on how to contact you, but I realized I never explicitly asked for it.
Yeah, so
if you're too scared to...
Yeah, I got you. So in other words, yeah, the last thing you brought up was the oof deleting part. Yes. What I was trying to ask you was, what was the last part you read so we know where we left off? So that was one part, but there was something else before that, and you brought it up. So I was expecting a response. Was there one more before that or no? Or did I write before that?
before that, you wrote to me.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't even know. That's fine. So we're done. So after me, then you wrote, I was expecting, and then after that, you wrote, oof, deleting your comments, right?
Let me just make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, after I said, if you're too scared to talk to someone who's thinking critically, that's fine. Otherwise, please let me know how to contact you.
Okay. So here, let's go through each one. I was expecting a response on how to contact you.
Hold on. Okay, maybe I should just read the whole post again.
I got it in front of me. At least I have the same ones. Those ones are still there. For some odd reason, I didn't delete them, huh? I'm joking. So it says here, I was expecting a response on how to contact you. I'm not sure why you're expecting that, but you did clarify, but I realized I never explicitly asked for it. So I'm okay with that now. Okay. In fact, I'm going to actually delete that right now so I get that out the way. I don't want to even keep that there. So now we're just down to one more thing. Now, I guess at that point, did I write something to you and it got deleted, or you don't know, or I didn't, or what?
Well, in the same comment, I said, if you're too scared to talk to someone who's thinking critically, that's fine. Otherwise, please let me know how to contact you.
Oh, shit, I missed that. Okay. Yeah, so...
and after that, you said,
let's go that. You really think I'm scared? And then I...
No, I don't anymore. No, but at the time, I had no idea what was going on because I thought your responses to me were very odd.
So at the time, that's what I mean. You actually thought I was scared? You're fine. You actually thought I was scared of you?
No, I thought you would be scared to go into someone who wasn't just raging. I thought perhaps the channel was simply a bait to get people to come onto your podcast and rage, and you'd make a fool of them and have a good time and party, and everyone would laugh.
You know who agrees with you, by the way? Like that stuff about it, like, I know you're not saying this, but trolling, it's fake, it's just raging, just to get attention, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know who else agrees with you?
Well, I'm probably sure everyone that disagrees with you, right?
All Michael Jordan fans. I get this all the time.
Okay, so that's how the page comes across.
No, only to you guys. You don't see a pattern that the only people who say the earth is flat are certain groups of people?
Well, yeah, but you're also saying that you're also kind of attacking people who are in the group of sports fans of Michael Jordan by saying they're the worst.
And Michael Jordan.
I'm sure that requires quite a bit of rage.
And Michael Jordan fans agree with you. The only people who tell me that Donald Trump is the greatest president and there's a witch hunt against him and the media's all after him and all that are Donald Trump fans. There's no one else.
Of course.
Do you get it? Like, in other words, when you say that maybe I'm just... I'm not trying to quote you, okay? When you're making it seem like this page is just a troll page and I'm not really going to have real debates and I'm just going to show rage to people and all that, you not only have no reason to think these things, but even if you disagree and you say, I do have a reason or some reasons, the only people who would think like you are other Michael Jordan fans. You don't see a pattern there or any question marks there?
Because that's the topic.
It's not the topic. The topic was...
The topic is going to be responding.
The topic was, as you pointed out, the main was what Pat Riley said about LeBron James, and then I wrote Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Yes, and in every single poll you write, you have an option for Michael Jordan's fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Right. I do have one, which, by the way, you didn't bring up. But okay, I'll be fair to you. If you're saying that's why you're thinking the way you are, I'm open to that. Just because I write Michael Jordan fans are the worst... That's
a part of it.
I got you. Just because part of the reason... just because I'm writing Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time, it doesn't mean that A, my page is a troll page, B, I don't really want to debate people, C, all I'm going to do is show them rage, and D, all the other ridiculous points you brought up. The only reason...
It doesn't necessarily mean that, correct, but that seemed to be a likely scenario.
You know why?
One of the likely scenarios.
No.
Either you're extremely... either you are... wanting to actually have debate, or you want to get people riled up.
Okay. But if it was just wanting to have a debate, that part you're right on. And even if you weren't, at least it's a logical conclusion. The other parts about being scared, having a fake page, rage, all the other things, none of these are logical, factual, reasonable, or have any common sense. The only reason you think these things are the same reasons that lots of other Michael Jordan fans think these things. It's two possibilities. One, you guys are so into Michael Jordan and the way people think about him that anytime someone is not on your side, you guys react in a questionable way because it's like, hey, the earth is flat, the earth is flat, the earth is flat, the earth is flat. If you think it's round, you agree with NASA because you're getting paid money. It's that kind of mindset. And the other thing is, because you guys don't have any arguments to prove why you're right and we're wrong, you're trying desperately to win, so you come up with ridiculous things.
I mean, yeah, all right, you know what? Whatever. If you want to say I'm ridiculous, that's fine.
At the time, not now. Obviously, you came on, you were very pleasant, you're actually spending time to going over things and all that, so you're not being ridiculous now. But at the time to come to these conclusions, it is ridiculous, and there's also contradictions. Try to think of it like...
My experience with trolls, this is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yes, but there's no reason for you to think I'm a troll. If I was a troll...
There was a few reasons, and we've gone over them, and you can disagree on whether or not you think those are good reasons for someone to be a troll, but that's how I interpreted them.
If I was a troll, you would be 100%... I would say you're being very reasonable to come to these guesses and conclusions. But you have no reason to think these things. But what do you have so far?
That's a self-fulfilling statement.
But think about what you have so far. If you're saying to me, look, the reason I think you're a troll is because of this, what do you have? He has Pat Riley, LeBron James question.
So
he has Michael Jordan fans that are worst sports fans of all time. And in every question recently, he has an option as Michael Jordan fans that are worst sports fans of all time. That's 3 things. That's all you have. That doesn't equal all the other guesses and ridiculous takes you have.
I don't know what your equation is there, but
let me try this. Let me try this. If a Jerry West fan had a YouTube page, all right, a Jerry West fan, and he showed hey, here's what Elgin Baylor said about Oscar Robertson being in a class of his own, and he had a bunch of questions where he had an option that says Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fans are the worst sports fans of all time. There's no reason to say that guy is a troll. He doesn't want to argue with people. He's scared. If he puts someone on, he's going to have rage against them.
No, I would definitely think that person is a troll.
But you wouldn't think all these details about them. You might think he's a troll, and I wouldn't knock you for that, even though I think you shouldn't think I'm a troll, but no big deal, it's just one thing. But you wouldn't conclude the other things, like he doesn't really want to debate people, he has a troll page when he debates. And
those conclusions were made through interacting
If he has people on his page, he's going to just give them rage. And there's more examples I could give you, but you get the point. There's no reason to come to all those conclusions, and you're going to have contradictions.
The conclusions I came to were because I was interacting with you,
But you just said right now, part of it was also because I had a question. I have questions where one of the options is Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. It's more than just the interaction.
Yes, it's the post, it's the page, it's the fact I didn't see any podcasts on that the Universe Galaxy NBA page. Now I know they're on a different page. There was multiple different small things that seemed to me were all pointing in the same direction.
Okay, I can understand your argument that you had small dots, drops of water, and all the dots and all the drops of water equal a bucket. I get that logic. What I'm saying to you, you don't have a bunch of small drops. The only thing you have that you can somewhat point to is you can say he keeps writing Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. That's it. That one I can understand why you're questioning things. But everything else, I don't think you should come to your conclusions. And if I'm wrong, if you say, look, you're wrong, I think you got a lot of other questionable things, I think some of your conclusions themselves have contradictions in them.
Okay. Look, we can have different opinions on what we think would add up to somebody being a troll.
I don't think it's I don't think it's opinions, man. It's a lot of claims going on. They're not being backed up.
Okay. Your response to me seemed out of pocket. Now, admittedly, I probably missed the post that you replied to me with, and I never got. That was one. That's one you're ignoring because you're apparently you posted something else.
But as I said to you, to make it easier for you, let's assume there was no post deleted on my side and there was no post deleted on your side. Then
how is that not stating someone's too scared to go on? How is that not being aggressive or inflammatory?
No. Wait, now we're going to go back in a circle of this again. So now we're going to get back to that again. So we're going to go in a circle about all that. I thought we were past that. Do you want to get back into that? I'm hoping we're past that.
I'm so confused how you can make a claim and then when I try to present evidence, you're like, that's not correct.
Well, remember I said to you.
That's what I experienced. That is what went through my
remember,
brain. You can say that's not logical if you want, but that is literally what I'm telling you, the experience that I had.
Even though I do think you took it the wrong way and you made a big deal out of it, I'm also saying to you that's one thing. And remember, I gave you examples of how one sentence can be taken in different ways. And remember, I gave you some tones, different ways people explain stuff. Remember that? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the tone of the page that I thought I was on.
So I'm saying if I don't think you should come to one conclusion and make any assumptions, but if you want to do that, I think I acknowledge fine, that's one thing. It doesn't mean at that point that you now come to all the other conclusions you came to, partly because I write Michael Jordan fans that are worst sports fans of all time, or because I have a Pat Riley question, or because you can't, now you're telling me this, which you didn't tell me before, that you can't find the podcast and things like that. These are not logical things. Like the podcast. You can't find the podcast on this page. So what?
Well, I didn't know you had another page.
But no, and that's okay. I'm not knocking you for that. But how does not finding a podcast equal that you have to A, come to negative assumptions, and B, then contradict yourself on those assumptions?
How am I contradicting myself?
All right. So for example, this is one contradiction. There's many examples. If this was another page, all right, you got to take out the...
No, I told you I would think they're a troll, and you thought that was ridiculous.
I'm not saying it's ridiculous. No, I didn't say that. I said even...
I don't know what you said.
I don't think you should think they're a troll. But if you did think that, it wouldn't be a big deal if that's all you thought. If you just thought they might be a troll, okay, no big deal. But if you start saying he doesn't really want to debate people, if he does, he's just going to give them rage.
Sorry,
he's deleting comments on purpose and all the other things you came up with.
And if I had those interactions on that page, I would think the same thing I thought here.
Okay, there's plenty of people online who are Michael Jordan loving pages. Michael Jordan loving pages. There's way more people who are into Michael Jordan, and they do all sorts of questionable things and all that. I can't prove what I'm about to say to you, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. I have no evidence, no reason to think that you would do this, that you have done the same type of things on their page that you have done on my page.
Well, I've never seen a post that said X fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
They do.
That instantly got my interest.
Okay. I'm pretty sure. See, this is where I can't prove it to you, right? I can't prove your entire history of YouTube. But knowing how YouTube works and how people go on random videos and go on random times of the day and night and all that, I'm sure you've been to pages where it says, LeBron James fans are the worst, or LeBron sexuals, or the 3-6 fans, or something like that.
No, I've only ever seen LeBron as the worst. I've never seen LeBron's fans. That distinction is what initially caught my eye and made me so intrigued.
Okay. You've never seen Michael Jordan fans insult LeBron James fans or insult LeBron James?
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about claiming one fan base is the worst fans of all time.
Well,
I've never seen that.
Not that. We're talking about how you're trying to tell me you would do the same thing on other people's pages if it was similar. And I'm trying to say to you, other people have done the same type of things I've done or worse. If you think I'm negative, they're worst. And if you're saying that you've never witnessed it, I just don't believe that. I'm sure you've been on basketball videos, live streams, comment section, all that, where people do, like, if you think I'm negative, they're doing just as many negative things or worse.
Okay. Can you find me a post that says X fans are the worst sports fans of all time? Because I have never seen that phrase ever.
I can find you videos that says LeBron James fans are the worst. How about that? That's better.
Okay, cool.
That's better.
I've never seen them.
Okay. And I can believe you on that. Okay. I just don't believe all the negativity that they say about other people who don't elevate Michael Jordan. It doesn't have to be LeBron James fans. It could be Kobe Bryant fans, Steph Curry fans, Michael Jordan haters and all that. I don't believe you haven't witnessed any of that.
I have witnessed that. I have never witnessed Michael Jordan's X fans are the worst sports fans of all time. That's specifically what we were talking about, correct?
No, because I was trying to show you.
But you brought up the whole in the poll thing as being, well, if that was on a different channel with Kareem in the spot, that you wouldn't think that. And I'm saying, no, that is exactly what I would think.
That's not exactly what I said. That's not exactly what I said. What I said was, even though I don't think you should call me a troll, I said to you, if you were just going to say I was a troll and that's it, nothing else, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But when you come to all the other conclusions based on your few reasons, I was saying that you're wrong and you're contradicting yourself. And then you were telling, and I said to you also, you wouldn't do this on other people's pages. And you said to me, you would. And I think you have. And now I'm showing you examples of other pages who, if you think I'm negative, they're just as negative as me or more negative than me.
We'll have to play the tape back because that's not what you said. You started off with an example. If Pat Riley said X player was greater than this, and then in the poll, Kareem fans are the worst sports fans of all time.
Yeah, that part came up too.
I wouldn't do that, and I said that is incorrect.
That part came up too. I would do that. Yeah, that part came up also. If you want to focus on that part also, like you want to keep focusing on me writing, hey, I haven't seen anyone else write Michael Jordan fans. I'm trying to respond
to you correctly, but I can't.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you're making a few mistakes here. You keep focusing on the part where I go, Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. You're going, I've never seen anyone do that, as if that's your only problem. But even if I were to just grant you that, you're wrong anyway, because people have said LeBron James fans are the worst. And if you say, well, I haven't seen that, okay, fine, I don't knock you. But then I don't think you should come to the conclusions you come to because you're wrong.
Okay, but then how could I not come to that conclusion if I've never seen anything else?
I also think you're having some contradictions. So even if you think your conclusions are right, you also have some contradictions. And then also you have to understand is I don't believe that's true anyway, because when you go on YouTube and you go on a lot and you go on all times of the day and night and all that, there's a million videos out there and polls and live streams and all that where they have takes that are similar or that are different topics where you can question them. So at the end of the day, if you think I'm being negative, which I'm not, at the end of the day, there's other people out there who are just as negative or more negative, and you don't question them all the time. What's so bad about my page, man? Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. What's so bad about that?
Nothing. And in fact, I would say I would actually agree with you now that you've fully explained your position. The original thing of me wanting to know more information is literally why I started commenting.
Well, okay, but why come to the... I can understand if you thought I deleted your comments, okay? I get it. I can understand if you think I'm a troll. I get it. I don't agree with you, and I think you have contradictions, but fine, not a big deal. But why assume that I don't really want to debate people? It's the podcast is just kind of a fake podcast, and I'm just going to give people rage and all that. It doesn't make any sense.
I told you, and I can say it again, but because you deleted your comments, that is why.
They don't fit, man. They don't fit.
But you can say that. I disagree heavily with you.
You think if I deleted my comments, okay, I'm asking you to think logically here. Let's say I straight up deleted all of them. Even though for whatever reason I'm scared. It's an illogical action. I don't want people to know you're proving me wrong. I won't block you. I'll just keep engaging with you, and then I'm going to invite you on my podcast, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the reason your conclusion is he doesn't really debate people. It's a troll page. He's just going to give people rage. There's more examples, but you get the point. You think that all fits?
Okay, if you say so.
All right, let's go back. So let's continue where we left off. Okay, so while I get it up, so you do agree now that they are the worst sports fans of all time? While I'm getting this.
Sure.
Okay, so you wrote, oof, deleting your comments doesn't look good for someone acting so smugly correct. Okay, so we're past the deleting comments one. You're saying it doesn't look good? That depends who you ask. I guess if you think it doesn't look good, that's up to you. I don't think it's an issue if someone did it. I guess it depends then. But you also wrote, do you think for a lot of people, they're going to think it doesn't look good,
on first glance, yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't know how many people are paying attention, but in the ones who are, I don't know how many agree with you.
I don't care who's paying attention or not. I'm just saying it doesn't look good.
Okay, when it comes to the ones who are paying attention, I don't know how many think it doesn't look good. I don't know how many people agree with you. I don't know how many people disagree with me, and so on. But okay.
I don't know either.
Okay, but you did write. It doesn't look good.
Yes, it doesn't look good to me.
Okay, to you. Okay, well, I want to clarify that, man. To you. It can be taken as you and other people.
Of course, because I'm the one making the comment.
Definitely, we know you think that. No doubt about it. So there's no dispute there. But when you write that, it can be taken also, it is taken also as other people are going to be,
yes,
on your side.
As myself, other people would probably have a similar conclusion upon first sight seeing.
Some people might.
Well, if they don't have your comments to see them, they have no idea what took place.
Right. That's part of it. But also, even if they had everything, some people might agree with you, right? Not
Sure.
when you say, but when you write it the way you did.
I doubt 100% of people would agree with me on anything.
Right. I understand, and I know this is not a big deal, but you wrote it, and we're going over what you wrote, and I write things, and we're going over what I write. You are writing in a way where you're saying, hey, it doesn't look good to me, and it doesn't look good to most people. Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
Then you wrote down the last part here. For someone acting so smugly correct, what is that about?
I took the way you'd been acting as smug.
Okay, I didn't do anything for you to think that I'm acting smugly correct. So I guess we're done with everything.
Okay, well,
go ahead.
Personally, when someone says I'm too scared to follow up what I just said, that seems pretty smug to me.
Okay, and we've gone through that, why I think you shouldn't have taken things the way you did. You disagree, so we're past that.
Right, and that's what I'm referring to.
I don't think that should equal you concluding that I'm acting smugly correct. But if you think that,
that's fine. We can disagree.
That's how you take it.
Disagree on that.
That's fine. Now, you have a contradiction. By your logic, you're acting just as smugly correct or even more smugly correct.
Right, but I wasn't deleting my comments.
And neither was I.
Well, I know that now, yeah. At the time, that's what it appeared to
be.
And
I'm saying, even if I deleted them, it doesn't mean you should assume that I'm acting smugly correct. And again,
I wasn't assuming that's how I interpreted your comments.
But you were wrong, so there's an assumption was wrong, right?
That's how my interpretation was wrong. Correct.
So and even if you were right, sorry, that doesn't make sense. Forget about how you took it. At the end of the day, if someone deletes comments, I don't think you should conclude like they're smugly correct. They're acting smugly correct.
No. Before you deleted your comments, you were acting smugly correct.
Oh, I thought
and after, it doesn't look good if you delete them.
Oh, I thought.
Of course, I know that's not correct.
Now. No, I thought. Okay, so we have a misunderstanding. I thought you were saying that I'm acting smugly correct because I deleted the comments.
Oh no. Deleting comments doesn't look good for someone already acting smugly correct. So, I added the already.
So because I said you're scared to go on, that makes you conclude I'm acting smugly correct?
Yeah, it was very instantaneous.
All right. Okay. Okay. That's how you take it. I obviously disagree. I don't think what I wrote means you should assume that I'm acting. It means that you should label me. The way I don't think the way I acted means you should label me as acting smugly correct. But out of curiosity, the other point I was going to make up that I actually was making up, by your logic, okay, forget about how I acted and all that. By your logic, you were acting just as smugly correct or even more smugly correct. So don't you have
sure, but I didn't delete my comments.
Don't you have a contradiction there? No, but if you say I didn't delete your comments, so you are making it seem like it's because I deleted the comments.
Okay, are we talking about now or at the time?
Oh, this is at the time, obviously.
Okay, so say that again.
To be honest with you, I'm willing to let it go, man. Are you willing to let it go?
Yeah, I hear you. Yep.
All right.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Okay, now, so we're done with everything you wrote, so I'm going to delete everything. So this has never come up again. Hello?
Yep, still here.
Anything else that you wrote that you want to go over? Or anything else that I wrote that you want to go over?
I'm good. I'm glad I got to learn more about why you think Michael Jordan fans are the worst.
Okay. So you do agree that Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time?
Yes, for slightly different reasons than you. But yeah, I would agree with you. So I had never considered the topic.
Hey, please subscribe. And if you disagree with me on something, you can go on my program and show me your facts on whatever you disagree on. If you want to go on, let's set it up. Send me an email. The email is right there in the description section. Thank you.